The Simpsons Index, an online spreadsheet that is also a podcast. This is the podcast.
Coming to you from SideQuest Studios, this is The Simpsons Index, episode 291. Hello out there, I'm your host, Elliot J. O'Neill, joined here as always, except when he's not, by BT Calloway.
Ahoy, hoy, diddly dup, bop, bop, skid bop.
And scatting to us all the way from the beautiful Blue Mountains is Jordan Frost.
Hello. That was my impression of a saxophone. Yeah, sure. Let's do that.
I got bassoon from it. Okay.
Bringing the baritones and making us feel less alone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, Jordan.
Thank you. That's so much better than anything I could have come up with, so appreciate it. Yeah. Love it.
And yes, of course, I'm introducing you to The Simpsons Index, the podcast that reviews Simpsons. And today we have a bit of a, not a sequel, don't call it that, it's a continuation story of sorts. Going back to, wow, what was it, like early 100s when we reviewed Moaning Lisa, where we first meet Bleeding Gums Murphy and we podcasted out of a castle.
Oh, yeah.
Man,
Remember that time we podcasted out of a castle?
Oh, man.
How did I forget?
I love that place. Let's go back. Anyway, sorry.
Good
Yes, I
place.
do remember the episode, but
Yeah. And that recording will be captured for all time until the internet burns down. Who knows when that'll be? Probably
7
a couple of
months.
weeks.
no, I'm going to put it on a cassette tape. Those things have extreme longevity, don't they?
Absolutely. As good as vinyls.
Yeah, keep it next to my magnet connection.
So today we're reviewing The Sound of Bleeding Gums. This was from season 33, episode 17, directed by Chris Clemens, written by Lonnie Steele Sostand. I hope I've gotten that name right. And it was based on her brother, Eli Steele, growing up with a brother with hearing difficulties who ended up working as a director in the entertainment industry. And he directed a movie called Sky's the Limit, which I believe stars John Autry too, who plays Monk Murphy in this, the son of Bleeding Gums, who is deaf. And, wait, I didn't do a synopsis for this episode. In this episode, Lisa finds out that they're using Bleeding Gums music for the lottery. And she's a bit pissed off about that, so through a series of events, tracks down Bleeding Gums' son, and then she attempts to get money deserved to him through this lottery using the music, and also to hopefully get him a cochlear implant. Hey guys, what do we think?
I mean, I don't blame you for losing the covering what this episode is about, because I think this episode kind of forgot and just wandered about a little bit for a while.
Yeah, sometimes doing the synopsis, I'm like, am I doing a bad job at synopsizing, or did the episode itself forget to circle back to some certain things?
It's the episodes who are wrong.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. I didn't hate it. There were good parts to it. I think, it was a little bit muddled, and I think some of the, not intentions, but like the reason for people to do things was a little bit blurred, I think. In
Motivations?
Motivation.
Yeah.
Thank you. It was just a little bit off. So I'm not quite sure if they sort of intended it that way or they just sort of got a bit lost in the writing process. But I don't think it was a very bad episode. I don't even think it was a bad episode per se, but it was just a bit muddled.
Yeah, unfocused. And look, again, it has some good things, but we'll get into that.
Yeah, I don't have a clear idea of where I'm going to fall on the rankings for this one.
Oh, I do, don't worry.
Oh, excellent. Well.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's just skip all the rest of the episode and we'll just go straight to...
Yeah, you know what? The podcast discussion is more or less a formality. Everyone's only here for the rankings.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No. We're going to tease those. We're going to get back to those a bit later. First of all, we're going to ask some questions. First of all being, what stands out to you for better or worse? BT, we'll start with you.
I'm going to go with a positive, and it might have some backhanded negatives in there, and it's the fact that the music in this is really good. There's a lot of like little snippets of jazz. You know, we talk about Bleeding Gums Murphy, so bits of his career, and there's some other jazz musicians around who add little bits and pieces. Whether those were story necessary? No. The backhand comes from when Lisa takes, Bleeding Gums Murphy's son, Monk Murphy, thank you, to a jazz club, and things just get real improv feel, and not in a good way, where it's like, oh, here are people that I can't tell are references or not, just scat singing about Bleeding Gums' career trajectory, and it's not going, it's giving us no new information, not moving the story, and it sounds nice, but it's just eating time, and that happens a fair amount.
Yeah, I don't know if I came around to this joke in the end, because I do like it conceptually, where it's this very musical style setup of the song as I'll tell you a story about bleeding gums, and then but I think where it gets a bit directionless and improv-y is where someone else butts in and is like, let me actually start the story.
And then it starts again, basically, like,
and then they're like,
yeah,
that's funny, because the point it goes back.
Oh my god, you go.
They're then like competing singing with each other, and it loses focus and doesn't have any forward momentum. Anyway, Jordan, what was your point?
No, sorry. I was going to say I agree with you, but I was going to say that was one of the things I sort of liked about this episode is that everyone is like, oh no, I knew Bleeding Gums Murphy better than anyone, and because Lisa says it at the start, right? And then it's like, it's pointed at by like Kent going like, Lisa Simpson has anointed herself as the person who knows the most about. But then everyone else who knows him is sort of says the same thing. And I'm hoping it was an intentional by the writers to sort of be subtle in like, there's a lot of people with like, people's fame that will like cling on after they've passed to be like, oh no, like I had a special relationship with him. Which I thought was quite clever in a way. It was like they didn't point out, but it was just sort of mentioned that everyone else sort of in the episode also knew him like so well, better than anyone. It was interesting.
That is a solid point in this episode's favor, because one of the central themes is Lisa, being a Bleeding Gums super fan, and, also he did actually have an effect on her life. It wasn't a totally parasocial thing.
Sure.
Like, he was gone much too soon after she first met him, of course, and she's like demonstrated that she's tried to make up for that by knowing as much as possible. But then, sort of, I guess the episode does hint at that as well, with her son not exactly being on board for the journey of getting the potential losses from his music being used on the Lotto ad. Like,
yeah. Like, I think that's kind of part of the problem is this one, is they introduced the son as a character, and that kind of doesn't go anywhere. Like, it sort of does. That's the weird thing. Like, Lisa's all, hey, they're using your father's music without paying you, and he's like, that's an outrage, but I don't own the rights anymore, because, of course I don't. Then they don't seem to ever really know what to do. Like, he's got this thing where he wants to get the cochlear implant, but he can't afford it, which, sure, of course. But again, that kind of doesn't come to that gets resolved in the end because he wins the lotto.
Yeah. Which is such a cop-out moment for what I thought was an interesting story beat of, like, Monk feeling, I don't know, shitty that Lisa was implying that he wasn't happy with his life and, like, he needed to hear. And, I mean, that's, I think, the core central thing that this episode is doing here is that it's for the first time in Simpsons history. This is why this episode did some social media numbers one day, because, it's the first episode of The Simpsons to feature a deaf actor. And I think, like, The Simpsons did well in honoring him, but also kind of didn't
seem to know what to do with him once they got him. Even his, kind of heart moment, but it's the kind of heart that hurts, where he says, I was happy until a little girl came and told me that I wasn't, but she doesn't really do that. Like, she doesn't say, oh, you're not happy. She just says, like, he's planning to get the ear implant anyway. It's not, oh, you've never heard your father's music, are you crazy, or anything like that. He was already on the path to being able to hear. So then was it, I guess at the most it was finding out his father's music. No, he already knew his father's music was being used in a way he wouldn't have approved on. So Lisa didn't change his life either way.
Well, that's the thing that sort of, and not so much annoyed me, but was just like, at the end, when she sort of says, I thought, I needed to save him. And I'm like, what do you mean save him? Like, what?
Yeah, from what?
He wasn't, like, depressed or, like, on drugs or, like, he wasn't
lonely or
like, he didn't have addiction problems. Like, he was having a pretty good life. So why does she call it that, I didn't need to save him? Like,
well, even I guess what they're going for is she thinks she needs to save him even though he's doing fine. But even from her perspective, I don't know what she thinks she's saving him from.
Yeah, exactly. It was really quite strange.
Yeah, well, also it's a pivot for Lisa, what she wants in the episode anyway, because this whole thing is kicked off because, the lottery's reusing a Bleeding Gums Murphy song for its ad. She's taken offense to that. She wants to know, like, who's responsible and who's profiting off this. It's more of an integrity thing, but, at some point it becomes about money when Monk is involved, Like, that's what makes me think that this is, like, it needed a couple more drafts or it's a bit underbaked because, it's elements like that. And, the fact that the cop-out fucking he just wins the lottery ending about it.
Yeah.
Kind of cuts into the scene where he does get his hearing back in the end. Yeah.
I mean, that was still a nice moment, but yeah, it didn't feel fully earned. You know?
Nah.
You could take it in isolation. It would have the same emotional impact as if I'd watched the whole episode, which I did. I swear.
How about you, Jordan? What stands out to you for better or worse?
All right. So I think they were trying to make a point about there's like, I'm sure you know, there's that TV trope of the, what they call the magical Negro. Of like, you know, the wise black man that helps the white protagonist essentially in their thing.
We reviewed Twilight Zone, the movie, on Starring Springfield.
Nice.
And the Steven Spielberg segment was one of those, and it sucked.
Yeah. The fact that they do a sort of point at it as like a sort of a joke, but then continue to put the trope into the show regardless is really weird, because they've got Bleeding Gums Murphy being this, like, I guess, ghost of himself, but like guiding Lisa and helping her. But like they're pointing fun at it by like doing the whole like Driving Miss Daisy Green Book mashup thing.
Yeah, which again, at this point, I'm just like, the episode does not know what it wants to do.
No,
it's just throwing this in.
But then at the same time, still just utilizing the trope. I don't understand what the point that we're trying to get across is.
There's a lot of, I think, there's a lot of that in just modern comedy writing in general of, oh, we can use the trope if we point it out. And it's like, no, it's still annoying. If you know it's bad, don't do it.
Yeah. And, like, to have something as on the nose as, like, the character holding the green book, a green book that has also got the green book written on it.
Yeah.
It's not subtle. Like, it's really single entendre. Like,
here's a question
so in your face.
Here's a question for you. People that watch The Simpsons for fun in these later seasons, what's the overlap between those people and people who've seen the green book?
I don't know. Maybe it is on Disney Plus, and that's why they're vlogging it in this episode.
Because I'm just like, maybe they really need to be like, hey, you don't probably know what Viggo Mortensen looked like in this movie, so we're gonna have to make it really obvious for you. Anyway.
Yeah, and that was another, like, one of two cutaway jokes in this as well, where there was one, like, Monk goes, oh, yeah, it's all right, he was a great father, he refereed my soccer games, and then, yeah, it cuts to, it does a cutaway joke, and it feels like, I know, like, classic Simpsons did the occasional cutaway joke, but not like this. It, like, it felt really inorganic and forced, and it was just like, Bleeding Gums came out on the field, played saxophone, and then gave someone a red card. It's like, sick joke.
Yeah.
What?
It's exactly what I thought was going to happen.
Is it because he used his saxophone instead of a whistle, I guess, is the thing?
Yeah.
But wouldn't he just play one note? Why would he play a little sting? Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, and if anything, it's got to be a slide trombone. Womp womp.
For those that were wondering, Green Book is actually on Netflix now. Why am I doing plugs for streaming services?
Yeah.
Well, no, you're just proving it's not on Disney Plus.
Good
but that's
movie,
in
though.
this country. So.
Probably was. The amount that these fucking things move around. But anyway. So what stood out to me for better or worse? This episode, it's another one of these things where, okay, Simpsons are allowed to reuse plot lines or plot elements or do, several decade stories later. Everyone else is. Why can't the Simpsons? So continuing on from this story from season 1, and then having the episode also bookended by lottery, something that was dealt with also in a very early, very famous episode.
If we can crack out the bell and go to Jordan's Anal Corner. Kent Brockman has
I
won.
approve, but Jordan, as the person who the Jordan Corner is named.
I'll allow it. I've got a couple to do after this one, but anyway. Yeah,
excellent.
Awesome.
Kent Brockman's won the fucking lottery before.
Yeah. And
like,
this whole to-do about, oh, if I win, I'm going to fucking blow this pops down. It's like, you
did.
And
we also, okay, so for starters, he did win the lottery. Second, we also know he then didn't quit. But third, it's just such a drawn-out joke. It's like, when I get it, the last number's coming up, and if I win, I'm going to blow this terrible town, and all you fuckers can fuck off, and whatever. Here comes the last number now. And it's like, yeah, I got it. He's not going to win. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. Really dumb.
Could the joke been improved if he was like, and tonight I'm going to win the lottery and not make the same mistake as I did last time. I'm actually going to fucking leave this town. And
well, yeah, because they could have done something like that, because Homer even makes a joke about, like, I want to be the guy that, like, wins the lottery and blows it all in a single binge or whatever.
Yeah.
And, like, that could have been
like Brockman,
brought in. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, but then it also has a problem of Brockman got every number but one, but still tore his ticket up. So you're like, okay, you need perfect or not, but then in the end, Monk gets
ninth.
like 9th place. So
Yeah. 6 out of 7 numbers gets you probably a good couple of 100,000. Like,
yeah, easy.
don't fuck around. Anyway, can I just do my other quick?
Absolutely.
Okay,
We're in the corner. I ran
Great.
would you like me to read it again?
Wonderful. Okay, so Lisa claims to know everything about him, but just like several key information she doesn't know. Like, for example, which like label put his albums out? She doesn't even know that.
Yeah.
Like,
That's in the
come
corner.
on. That's bullshit. 2, the stupid joke about finding out that Monk is deaf, like his dad. Cymbals need to resonate to make sound, and he's slamming them on the ground and they're crashing. And I'm like, that's not. Do you know how cymbals work? I don't think they know how cymbals work. I get it. They do it for the joke. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say that one was just a shame because, yeah, I loved the Caruso-esque cymbal player in Bleeding Gums, especially like they're doing overly cartoonish tiptoeing past the sleeping baby. And, of course, he had to invite the guy whose only instrument is 2 cymbals.
Yeah.
But, yes,
and I like the animation on the guy falling down and kind of scrambling to get back up. It looked nice, but, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
but that's not how
I did notice that as well. Several moments I was like, that wouldn't have made that sound.
Yeah.
Fucking xylophones. Anyway.
Okay. The biggest one I had was
the biggest thing.
Lisa says that she doesn't know Bleeding Gums Murphy's sons, that he had a son or his name, obviously. But the mental image of, or like the image of Bleeding Gums Murphy that she conjures gives her clues about what his son's name is, right?
Yeah, it's not. I'm not your memory, Homer. I can't provide any new information.
Exactly. But so that is already in her subconscious, which means she did know that she had a son and what his name was.
Biggest thing in the corner.
Yeah. Anyway, so what I'm saying is that she lied.
No, I did have that as a moment where she like had that vision, put those clues together way too easily, and then turns up at his door in the next scene. I'm like, wow, you really didn't think this out. You just really went with the bullet points of, this is what the rough story should go through. I'll come back and fix it later and flesh it out.
Especially because, like, I think it's like a minute earlier, he says, yeah, but I'm just part of your dream, so I just tell you what you want to hear.
Yeah. Like, if it had been left ambiguous, or they'd even had a line of like, wait, how are you telling me this? Because I didn't know that. And be like,
Can't have it both ways, yeah.
Yeah, or like to your point earlier, Jordan, just going through the records and as you're pouring through every detail, like, where's something that I missed for the website? And then she starts to put it together. She starts like reading the lyrics closer. Then she also has the information about the record company so that she can chase that a little bit easier or cleaner or something. Like,
exactly.
It is unnecessarily bumpy and sweaty, this story.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just like jazz.
No, you just should not be bumpy or sweaty.
That explains why I can't do it. All right.
Was this a particularly wacky episode of The Simpsons?
A couple of bits, yeah. Like some bits. Like, how'd she get a fucking bust of his mouth?
A bust of his embouchure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, it's his whole, like, everything from his like neck up to his nose, sort of. It's
just
quite
took
inclusive.
a life-size photo to like a 3D printer and they modeled his muzzle.
She uses it as a saxophone stand as well, which is...
I also guess.
Yeah.
We're just putting this together as we go.
Yeah. I mean, we may have studied at a jazz school, but I would not say I'm a jazz enthusiast. Maybe it is a thing for jazz fans to collect the embouchure busts.
I cannot
they get a
imagine
Dizzy
that it
Gillespie one that like cost $20,000 or something.
But like, surely you want it while they're playing, right? And also, your mouth changes as you play, especially with like a wind instrument. Like,
yeah, it's not like sex toys where you can set your junk in the mold or whatever. You know, you got to hold that pose for a very long time.
I was really wondering where this was going for a second. But
yep, so did I. So did everyone, I think.
Yeah. I was like,
just like when I made my own sex toy. Anyway.
Yeah, of my mouth. Yeah.
Talk about that off
my mouth.
It's not like traditional wacky, but there's something I don't know. I'm going to think of the word in a second. So basically, when they're, going through town and Lisa's hearing the jingle from Bleeding Gums used in the lottery everywhere, Mel is like, I could buy a diamond collar for my bitch. And he has a dog with him. And there's something about that feels so, you can't get mad at me, Mum, because I used the word correctly. Yeah. Which to see on this show is so pathetic.
It's sort of, I guess, maybe in character. Like, I feel like maybe Mel would say that, but it just feels like, yeah, like you said, they're trying to get around
It feels like the show
Like a loophole.
almost gloating in this annoying little bratty teenager way.
And it sucks because, yeah, it's such a shit ending for what was a good joke where, like, and Simpsons playlist, you know, it's going on how much commercial music, like, just penetrates and stays in our skull and things like that. And yeah, if you were a fan of this song originally, like, if you were a fan of the Good Vibrations and then everybody around you is saying, come on, say the good guys, you're like, but that's not the original, you know? But, I mean, it is coming off this good idea, and yeah, just such the lamest way to end it.
Flash the prices.
See?
Look, I feel like the biggest disappointment to me is that Unchained Melody is forever tied to Ghost, because that is a gorgeous song, and people always just think about pottery when it's on now.
Yeah.
Oh, you've gone full, like, Toby Hale from Community.
Look, I'm not mad about it. I'm just disappointed we can't enjoy a good song in a different context anymore.
Yeah, true.
Wait, shit. I just realized there's two Beach Boys songs that have, because they had the Cadbury one and they had the Good Guys, right?
Oh, yeah.
Wouldn't it be nice if the world was Cadbury?
Fuck! Yeah.
Right?
Who owns the rights to the Beach Boys?
Some unscrupulous person.
Yeah.
Probably Mike Love. All right.
Wouldn't it be nice if the world was Cadbury? Yeah, that's what the lyrics say. But in, like, the song, like, the column shift is breaking because the world is
made of
Cadbury.
Yeah.
And, yeah, so your car's fucked and probably constantly melting. Like, no, it wouldn't.
But also, like, if a shark came up and tried to bite you, you could say, I'm chocolate, I invite you. It's such a weird thing to put in an ad in retrospect, like 20 years on. I'm like, but why? Why would you do that?
It's acceptable. I'm made of chocolate. Please devour me.
Yeah. It's the Church of Cadbury, man. We are all Cadbury. Therefore, if we eat each other, it's okay because we are one.
We all return to Cadbury.
English-speaking sharks, yeah.
Anyway. Now, it only implies it understands English, not that it speaks English.
It's like, can I bite you? Like, okay, I invite you. Anyway.
Please, I insist.
But less about the wackiness of Australian advertising.
Oh, there was one other thing. Sorry, just in the dream sequence. How old do they think the average viewer of The Simpsons is? Because she, like, I dream of genies, but out of existence in the, like, dream in the credits.
Oh, yeah, the
he does that
thing.
That little thing, and he goes, and she's like, better. But, like, do they think people are going to? I mean, I'm answering my own question because I recognize
it's also got a driving Miss
reference, but still,
yeah, it's got a driving Miss Daisy reference for God's sakes,
and yeah, also very heavily references jazz. Like, and I love that they did a shout out to Sarah Vaughan. Like, honestly, listener, if you're listening, have any interest in jazz, check out Sarah Vaughan. She's such a beautiful singer. Again, such a lovely moment for me to see her name get shouted out, and then for that scene to end with, oh, I should stop leaning on this wall. Now you, Lisa, scat. Not that kind of scat. And I'm like, what? Then she starts scat singing.
Oh, the third kind, I see.
Yeah. I don't know. It still felt like the bitch joke you were saying before. Yeah. It just feels like, I've learned what this word means. And I'm like, you're writing for The Simpsons and you're 12? What's going on?
Yeah.
Like, I know this is a first-time thing for this writer, but I'm sure she's a bit older than this humor would indicate.
Yeah, that feels like a writer's room sort of edition or something, maybe.
100%.
Right.
But was this a particularly heartfelt episode? Did you guys feel the bumps?
Trying to, but it didn't get the notes.
It means to. That's kind of the problem. There's a bit of an anti-heart where Homer has a speech about you need to stop chasing lost causes, which I get what they're going for, but it doesn't really work. Like, it doesn't even work as an anti-heart. It's just kind of,
that doesn't get resolved either.
Yeah. Not really. Like, it's much better. You know, you think back to, Lisa trying to go see the Orb of Isis, where he's like, no, you need to do something stupid and crazy. That's how I found you. You need to not be afraid of life. And I get that they're just not doing that in this one, sure, but I guess it then doesn't help that the episode doesn't feel like it does have a point or a message or anything to say on anything. It doesn't always have to, but it helps when you try to have the opposite of something if you then have a meaning somewhere to just counterbalance it.
The only thing I sort of liked about that scene was the visual of, like, Homer, like, patting his lap and, Lisa climbing up onto his lap to them, have, like, a father-daughter talk. Like, the visual, I think, like, that's cute. Yeah. But then, like, it's going to be some Homer nonsense.
I don't know if it's ever going to get it better than, remember when Daddy hit the referee at the whiskey bottle? Remember that? When Daddy hit the referee? Yeah.
Because I guess that's tied in with Homer losing the lottery, but to your point, Beach, like, they kind of set it up for that element of the story to progress with Marge and Homer doing the, dissecting the story in bed cliche, you know.
Yeah.
This is the moment where they pause, reflect in the story, and then like Marge gets involved or, you know, has her interpretation of this. And like it feels like it sets that up, but then we don't really return to Homer and Marge in the story at all.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot about that, where she's all like, oh, what did you say to Lisa? He's like, I told her to quit forever. And it's like, oh, well, now she's playing sad music.
Yeah.
Well, let's just leave this forever now.
Yeah.
And also in a moment where, once again, Simpson signwriter gags, pretty good. This is the subcategory of the reading in bed cliche as well. Homer's reading Nuclear Power for Children or something like that. And I'm like, not bad sign
That's
gag.
good. Yep.
I was just going to say, in that, like, speaking of like reusing ideas, did they really redo the honey, can you turn your eyes off joke?
Yeah.
Yes.
Really? That's like, have you not seen all your other shows? Because that's definitely been done. Like, come on.
No, I really, that put me off so much because, like, I get that if you accidentally repeat yourself on a joke, you've been doing this for 33 years at this stage, whatever, but, like, that one is so ultra specific. I feel like someone should have known we've done this before.
No, I have to guess they're like, oh, we know we've done this before, but is the audience going to know? They're only, you know, young kids or podcasting freaks.
Pretty much.
Yeah. You know, weirdos.
Yeah. Yes, the sickos. We're the ones leering in the window with the sickos jokes. Yeah, and in terms of Monk and Lisa's story and the heart with that, I do feel like him winning the lotto of it all really undercuts, and like even that moment where he gets the cochlea turned on.
Yeah. That was supposed to be a big heart moment, I feel. Like that's what they thought it was going to be, and it just wasn't.
Yeah,
there's something interesting about the subversion of Lisa pulling out one of Bleeding Gum's records and Bart's like scratched it up, but then Monk kind of finding that delightful. Like, I don't know, there's something to that, but in execution, I also didn't like this scene.
Yeah, I mean, that said, like I said earlier, the song they play, Monk's new tune, that sounded good. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, the animation of like the music sort of like traveling in, you know, to his ear and everything, like that was new for them, I feel.
Yeah.
But it sort of, you know, it was okay, but it was just like, I don't know, it didn't make me feel anything.
Yeah, well, I thought that was nice as well. Yeah, the way they showed his like brain processing it now that his cochlear implant is turned on. But then they had this weird thing where they were zooming in on like the record, and because of the way they were kind of animating it, it looked like the record player was about to slide off the bridge. Like there was some real weird physicality to that. Yeah. Anyway, there's my Jordan's anal corner. That record player should have fell off a bridge.
Yeah.
The record player should have fallen off a bridge.
Yeah.
But ultimately, does it feel like an episode of The Simpsons? Is this a show we know and love? Is this the characters we know and love?
And they love bringing back a side character.
Oh, yeah.
For an episode 10 years later. So,
I mean, it feels like it had an idea. It just kind of forgot what it came into the room for. Or like this was a script, but then they got, you know, hearing impaired actor involved, and they were like, oh, let's include him. It's like, cool. I'm not sure how. I had to put him in somewhere. And they didn't really have a focus anymore because it just feels incomplete. Like it's most of an idea.
Yeah, I feel like its heart is in the right place, but
exactly.
It's not...
That's why I don't want to come down too hard on it, because it feels like it's well intentioned, and it's nice they got, you know, a hearing impaired actor to play him, and you know they actually got some proper jazz musicians to record some stuff. Yeah, heart in the right place, but it just doesn't quite make it, which is a shame.
Yeah, and also Kathy Buckley, who's a hearing-impaired stand-up comedian as well, had a small part in this episode, playing one of the kids in the deaf school that Monk was teaching at. I think she was doing King Lear or something.
Yeah. That's nice. Yeah. But again, it felt like we were stopping for a moment that I didn't understand. Richard III, that's right.
Yeah. Yeah, and as far as feeling like a Simpsons, it's like... It's, rehashing old ideas and being all like... well, you did it in a less good way. Like, the only time I thought they really achieved this was bring back Smartline, and just with the, like, because we get Smartline in this, and that's
right.
a show we haven't seen in a while on The Simpsons, and, like, that it's just all of a sudden a court show at the end, like, and it's completely lost its way. Like, I think there was something to that idea as well that I liked, and of course we get another appearance from blue-haired lawyer here, but in this episode I'd say it's kind of blue-haired lawyer.
I I get
There's
it.
one for your Miles Davis fans out there. Listen to Miles Davis. Also, listen to Thelonious Monk. He was right to name his kid after that. It's a weird first name, Monk, but Thelonious also. Another Simpsons.
Listener, are you sure you want to take jazz recommendations from someone at the top of the episode said he didn't really like jazz?
I wouldn't say I'm more of a huge jazz fan. I know this isn't a video podcast, but you can see from my interest here that I don't have any jazz Mighty Morphin Power Rangers in my collection.
Yeah. You do have Ken Burns' Jazz, though.
That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, truth told, I probably listen to more jazz than I watch Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and yet I have no busts of embouchures here, but I do have the Dragon Zord.
But that's fucking cool, dude. That's why.
It is.
Yeah, no kid sits there watching Saturday morning cartoons dreaming of becoming a jazz musician. They dream of becoming the Green Power Ranger. Yeah, but she's not real, Elliot.
I think maybe if you watched a lot of like, oh God, Ren and Stimpy, you probably...
I did.
Yeah, you probably would have been like, I like freeform ideas. Anyway.
I had a poster of the log lyrics. That was
nice.
my song and artist that I had posters up on my wall as a kid. I had the log song from Ren and Stimpy.
Oh man, I had a CD of that was called like Saturday Morning Cartoons Greatest Hits, where it was a bunch of bands did covers of like old like cartoon theme songs. So it was like, like HR Puff and stuff, and like I think the Violent Femmes did a cover of something, and like anyway, but someone did a cover of the Happy Happy Joy Joy song, which was actually really fucking good. I used to blast that because it was like, really good. Anyway.
Oh, sick.
I'm just trying to imagine Ren and Stimpy's episode where they're like, Stimpy, you must augment your ninths. Really getting that jazz home to the kids.
We could only wonder what could have been, but John K sucks, so we'll never know.
Yeah.
But
time for the jazz takeover of his show then.
old jazz reboot of Ren and Stimpy. That's what this needs. Yes, no, would you watch this episode again?
Not without purpose.
Maybe.
Wouldn't avoid it. We'll put it that way. But
I mean, it was.
If we're doing the Bleeding Gums playlist, I feel like this is a fine enough epilogue onto the season 6 episode Round Springfield where he dies.
Until season 52 where they're like, what ideas can we
he's a cyborg now, and
we've uploaded his presence into the cloud, and he is now an AI.
Because I remember there was a 20s era episode which had a hologram Bleeding Gums Murphy touring, and Lisa objected to that, but I don't remember what came of that episode, and it was in the 20s, so you can assume we hated it. So
you can only assume.
If you're doing like 3 episodes, Moaning Lisa, Round Springfield, this is a fine enough
it's fine
thing to round off that trilogy with, and I don't know, maybe lose interest.
And then you're like, well, I did it. I'm proud of me.
BT, what would you like to change?
Look, I think maybe what they're kind of going for, because eventually Lisa finds out that, some big mega corporation owns the rights and you cannot, that's it. That's the end of it. There's nothing you can do about that. So I kind of wanted there to be a moment where, you can't get Bleeding Gums' music back, but he has a son, life goes on. You can't change the world, but you can change your own backyard. And maybe she has like a jazz festival or a tribute show to raise the money for his ear implant. That is just better for me, because then it ties the things back to the beginning, and also just gives you the message of, if you can't change the world, don't. Just try and focus on things you can change, and that's mean, and that alone is what changes the world. Yeah, that is what I would change mostly. And just find something for all these hanging pieces to do, because that's kind of the problem with this one. A lot of things feel like they're there and for a purpose, but never come around.
Jordan?
This obviously isn't a fully fleshed out idea, but I think to eliminate some of the issues later on down the track, maybe make it so that Monk is also sort of outraged by this and wants to do something about it. So that then it's not like him being like, I don't really want to do this at the end. It's like, it'll be something like he's really interested in finding this out. And then maybe like where they do track down the producer or whatever that's done this, or whatever the case, he's faced with some sort of moral quandary about like, hey, like if you sign this contract and let us keep using it, we'll pay you X amount of dollars, and you can, but you will be sort of betraying your father's sort of legacy of whatever, and it's like come down to whether he's willing to do that, and Lisa maybe sort of helping him with that decision, as opposed to this sort of, I don't know, then you have to let him win the lottery, and you have to do all that. Yeah, it's sort of a little bit.
I like that a lot better, because then if he does sign the contract, it's like, well, what's more important, you preserving your father's musical legacy, or you're actually getting to hear his music and his voice, which you never did.
Exactly.
Like, the world might lose something, but you'll gain something, and you're his son. That's, Yeah.
And I mean, you didn't pay attention in the first place, so are you losing all that much by signing it over, or blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, well, because I think this episode is so on the verge of some good ideas here, and especially giving a musician a deaf son is inherently interesting, and being that, Monk's pretty emphatic that Bleeding Gums was a good dad.
it's also
he doesn't
nice.
make any mention of he wasn't there, he was always on tour, blah, blah, blah. There's no, resentment angle there. So the idea that Bleeding Gums just, I don't know, when he discovered his son was deaf, realized, okay, I have to, disregard that as an option of my son getting into music. And, we're pretty poor. So, I can't afford the expensive ear implants either. So, forming a relationship that has to exist without music, I think, is a very interesting challenge. And one that I think you can do set to a montage that, can sort of highlight this. And even just, I guess what I'm getting to is the idea that Bleeding Gums at some point made a conscious decision to separate his music life and his kid's life, and that's why there's only vague hints of the existence of this kid in his music. Rather than it, I mean, he's a jazz musician anyway. Journos aren't exactly going to be chomping at the bit to write about him anyway, so this is, why isn't it well documented? And, just a bit more of a mystery angle about it, and a bit more of a Lisa solves a puzzle thing. And, why set up this whole thing with Marge and Homer not to pay it off and have Marge just do the one last step in the storyline, which I felt like it was leading to, because Homer's oh, give up on your dreams, I lost the fucking lottery, whereas Lisa's no, I'm going for my dreams because music can mean something to people.
I will throw to one last bit of heart, which is right at the end, and it's in Lisa's dream sequence, which is a shame. But, whatever song they're singing together has the line of, if you don't have a dream, how are you going to have a dream come true? It's that's good. That is very good as a synopsis of what this episode should have been about. Yeah, sometimes you can't win, but if you don't try, you're never going to get anything.
Absolutely. All right, it's time for us to rank this thing after we do our final notes.
Way to swerve.
Oh, wow, I was about to say, wait,
yeah, but the final notes, final notes.
Yes, jazzy notes. Jordan, what are your jazzy notes?
Well, okay, so right at the top, Fox taking a stab at NBC by saying, even the shows that Peacock doesn't want is interesting in, this year. I mean, I don't really see networks being bitchy about each other, but I thought that was interesting.
Also, Fox sold all their shit to Disney.
Okay. The one thing that sort of annoyed me was in the lottery ad where it's he's riffing on the legal jargon at the end of the thing. As if any ad, maybe that's the joke, as if any ad would say the part they usually fly through. That's the joke, is they fly through it so quickly you can't understand what they're saying. That they would do it so languidly and slowly is so strange.
I liked it.
I liked this as well, because the stark difference between the song Bleeding Gums' original is there's a really dour, down and out blues song where the lyrics are super suicidal, and then the version that they've used for the lottery of increase the BPM by 20, and it's all upbeat and jivey, and I love how it's just got this continuous product disclosure statement going on at the end.
And just in an alternate universe, because when this episode started, I was like, okay, she's going to start looking for his son. I bet that's him in the ad, and he definitely knows about it.
That's what I thought it was.
That's what I thought.
So, it feels like there was a rewrite somewhere, because they even show a jazz musician singing in the Lotto ad, and it's okay, that's going to be him. It even kind of looks like him.
He sold it off intentionally, and he's the antagonist.
Yeah, last minute note of change. Monk doesn't care about the music, not because he doesn't care about his father's integrity or anything. He just doesn't have a relationship to it, and this is all his leaving legacy. There you go. More interesting conflict. Boom.
Yeah. I like the idea of Jesus being a messy drunk. and saying all this stuff after he turned water to wine and then just not remembering it the next day. Like that was pretty good. There was a bit where Lisa first goes into the jazz club and just starts listing off all these like 3 out of 10 joke names that are like, and it just goes on and you're like do this a little bit, but don't keep going. It's not actually that funny. Like I didn't think that was worth the airtime.
No, and this is a rehash of their joke when they had the jazz festival and they were advertising all the names, and like it's the same joke with a different vehicle, and like this, like that one was like an advertisement. Here's everybody that's going to be on the list. It's this guy and this guy. Whereas this one, it's Lisa going, "Oh, hey, this person and this person and this person," and
it's like, aren't jazz names kind of funny sometimes?
Yeah, it just doesn't have the same snappy delivery, and it just comes at you so slow. And then, the ending of the joke is the backup boys.
And they take so long to start singing after like wiggling a little bit, and I didn't understand what was going on there.
Backup dancing, funny. I suppose.
Yeah, that's it. Like if someone tells you, "Oh, I'm a backup dancer," "Oh, can you do me some backup dance?" Like, so I get it from that joke angle, but also I wasn't laughing.
No. The breaking the fourth wall joke about people that still watch network TV or whatever with Homer staring directly down the camera, in quotes.
Yeah.
Not funny. And
also it's, the Chiron joke of, this show's coming up next. People in the show don't stop and look at it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh my God. Anyway, like the thing I did like was when Lisa agrees with Homer of being like, "You're right, I won't try," or whatever, and then he's like, "I'm definitely going to try," and he's like, "What did you mutter?" And you're like, "Oh, just something that undercut my previous point." Like, that's the way, sweetie. Like, I thought that was okay. That was pretty good.
I liked that, yeah.
But saying that, oh, no one likes Kenny G, that's why they killed Kenny A through F. Like, I thought that was pretty good.
I do like that, especially as someone who hates, the trope with any movie title that has a number in, do I have to see Blade Runner 1 through 2048,
Yeah.
So, killing Kenny's A through F is good shit.
So I don't know why they left Kenny G still alive, but anyway, maybe they just ran out of bullets. Actually, that makes sense. A revolver, that's A through F, and then, the seventh one, you've got nothing left.
It has been decided that the revolver has chosen you, Kenny G.
Go forth and make mediocrity.
I feel like that's a Severance-style storyline. Anyway, sorry.
We've got a couple of sign gags that I thought were pretty funny. Was at the flashback to the Springfield Hospital saying, "We finally fired Dr. Nick," was pretty good.
Oh,
yeah, that was not bad. And also at the very end of the credits, you probably saw it as well, was a big block bit of text that said, "If you want to learn more about the lottery, please contact your local corner store or look up Ponzi schemes." Which I thought was really funny. So I'm like, okay, that's pretty good. But I don't know what you stand for, but sure, whatever, that's fine. Okay, the smoking, I called it smoking gun joke, which I realized doesn't sound like what I wrote it as, but the one where they sort of said like, we could fire a gun right next to him and he wouldn't hear it. And it's like, that's not how you tested it, right? Like, no. It just puts the gun back in the drawer. That was okay.
There was a way of animating that was more subtle than I wanted to see, but conceptually, again, the smoking gun is an actual smoking gun is, in theory, a funny joke, but the way it was animated let it down.
Yeah. The memorial wall in the, I guess it was a jazz club. Was it the same jazz club? Was it a different jazz club?
Must have been the same.
The jazz
because
hall.
like if that's the case, if it's the same one, it's like, oh, they've put up a memorial wall. Like you were there like a day ago. Like they've just put it up now. Like what? But also she was saying the names and I'm like, are they, like I couldn't tell if they were real people or not because I looked up Gerald Wilson because I thought calling him the West Coast Duke Ellington sounded like a savage burn or something, But then I found out Gerald Wilson, real person.
Oh,
Duke Ellington respected him so much. Gerald Wilson actually arranged a lot of music for Duke Ellington and stuff as well. So they did actually work together. But yeah, just calling someone the West Coast Duke Ellington's be like, oh, like not as good as the real one, but it's okay.
Yeah. No, it feels like there's a joke dig that I'm not getting that's going over my head. But that was the bit that mentioned Sarah Vaughan as well. Who,
yeah, exactly.
Again, a real person.
Like obviously there's only a certain amount of voices that a person can do. But that guy, the producer guy, was like just deep Frink. Like he had Frink's mannerisms and like sort of style of speaking the whole way, but it was just like a bit deeper. He even laughed like Frink and stuff.
Laven.
The guy with the mustache?
Yes.
Yeah, that was an interesting one because I quite liked the joke as well that he's a shady record producer guy and just made Monk instantly sign a
non-disclosure
non-disclosure agreement.
I even like his line of like, his lips are, that mustache makes his lips hard to read. Oh, thank you. I've been trying to make myself harder to lip read.
Like unreadable lips. It's weird though that we're still doing like record company jokes in like the 2020s, like greedy record company jokes. Like I'm sure it still exists, but it feels like a real 90s, 2000s thing to be making fun of. But anyway.
Yeah, well, even then, him sort of punctuating the joke like that and just going, oh, we sold all that off to Evil Corp or whatever.
Yeah.
It's okay. Yeah, that's where we're at.
There is something I like that the Simpsons have committed to not knowing how to draw a saxophone for like 33 years. Like it just looks like Bleeding Gums Murphy sax just does not. Like it looks sort of like a saxophone.
What are you
like
talking about? It's got a mouth bit, it's got a sing bit, it's got a bendy bend. What do you want?
I had to look at him animate it. It's like his fingers aren't even on keys; they're just on like the neck of like the sax.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? Anyway, actually, there was another Jordan Zeno corner that I was going to say that when he's like, Dr. Hibbert is like, how are you going to pay for this? Actually. And he puts his sax case down and he opens it and money comes out or whatever. But where's his sax?
I had that same fucking thought because I thought he was pulling out the sax to play him a song or something.
Yeah, no, that was the misdirect joke, sure. But
then no sax, just money. So he's just carrying around his briefcase of $16.
Yeah. Just a stupid little joke that like in a bad sequence was the Driving Miss Daisy Green Book thing. Where it's like, hey, we're trying to. And like, against how many odds? All. I was like, okay, that's fair enough. Last one I've got is more just like, I don't think that's how cochlear implants work. I'm pretty sure you need to do them in a sterile environment, right? First, so that if something doesn't work, you need to be able to like have a look and see why it's not working, right? You can't just do it outside on a bridge. Like that's the first time you turn it on. That seems like a bit.
Yeah, especially outside on a bridge has... risk of loud noises coming by. So, you'd probably at least want a pretty quiet room to ease into the whole
just to calibrate it, surely, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, I just thought that was a bit weird, but I'm pretty sure
could have done.
You're sitting there on a bridge enjoying your father's music for the first time, and then a loud seagull comes along,
Yeah. Or Bart is there, or
yeah, or just Bart is there.
He just lets off a flashbang for some reason because he's a jerk.
But it's also a thing of like, why are we on this bridge? Oh, this was important to Lisa, so that's why you're here.
Well, it does say it was the Bleeding Gums Memorial Bridge.
True,
or
I forgot about that. No, that is fair. I forgot about that.
Formerly known as the place where Homer once almost killed himself, Bridge.
Yeah.
Look, people don't like that name. It's very long.
BT, and it reminds you of Homer's Odyssey, the second worst episode of season 1. Anyway, BT, final notes.
I'm going to got pretty few left. Lisa's just got a sign that says, keep money out of jazz. I thought that was pretty good. There's a part where she comes to apologize to Monk, and he's like, oh, you don't need to apologize. She goes, really? But I wrote 4 drafts. I'm really good at it. It's really good. I'm like, okay.
I don't know why she had felt the need to say it was single-spaced.
I was about to harp on about that, because that doesn't... If you said it was a full page single-spaced, then sure, that tells me something. But other than that, it's like telling me how many parsecs you can do the Kessel run.
It was really hard to work on because it was single-spaced while I was typing and editing. I don't know.
4 drafts does not... I get nothing, no information from knowing it's single-spaced on 4 drafts. Could be 2 lines in 4 drafts.
Well, I guess it was 1 page because you could see she was only holding 1 page, but I mean, still... That's not very big. It's like, like the joke about like, oh, I've got a 200-word essay due tomorrow. Me like, bro, a fucking paragraph? What are you talking about?
Yep. And I think that is all my notes that I feel like talking about.
All right. The reoccurring gag of Lisa not knowing what to name the website is just, it was shit.
Yeah.
Bleeding Gummy
nice
Bears
idea.
or whatever is, ugh.
That was
the winner.
Nailed it. And it's like, no, you didn't.
That sucks, dude.
It's like, I like the idea, but I don't like any of
drafts.
the idea of the names they actually had in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
They should call it Jazzovitis. Because it's like gingivitis, which causes bleeding gums.
I got it.
Oh, yeah. What would your Bleeding Gums fan site be? Write in the comments below.
Yeah.
When Bart shoots her with the Nerf gun, that was just some good Foley there. There's nothing to the joke, but the Nerf dart sticking to her and then the pop, 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 it's like it came off. I liked that Foley. Lisa has a real bad line when she's trying to get Monk to go along with this plan, and she says, this would be so much easier if you don't work against me here.
Yeah.
Lisa. I know they're trying to fast track this whole he's uncomfortable with Lisa.
But there are better ways to fast track it, like have him agree, and then we don't need to have that line or slow everything down.
again, they're sort of paying, like they're sort of drawing attention to, but at the same time doing the white savior sort of trope thing. And I'm like, oh, don't know about this one, Lisa. I think maybe you should just listen.
Yeah, I mean, that's why like those potentially hazardous plot lines, like I don't think it causes offense in any of those because it just doesn't go hard enough in any one of its categories anyway. It is so afraid to do anything that it ends up standing still. Anyway, it's time to rank this thing. On the Simpsons Index, we rank using a 6-point scale, which starts down the bottom at failure. Maybe if the episode was just you give it a participant, but for the positive rankings, you got okay, bronze, good silver, excellent gold, but for the best of the very best, you give cubic zirconia. I'm going to go first. Let me show you how it's done, because I was practically like launching into a ranking style speech before anyway. Yeah, this one, oh, fuck, I don't know. I really don't. I might have to default to you guys first, like, because it's right on that participant bronze storyline, and I feel like giving it a bronze to be nice, but I also don't feel like it deserves it. BT, what do you reckon?
I mean, participant, it's really no question. Like, I think its heart's in the right place, which does make giving it a lower grade sad, but ultimately it didn't deliver on story, and I didn't laugh all that much. What else is there to rank?
The comedy show, yeah. How about you, Jordan?
Yeah, I'm the same as you, Elliot. I was sort of on a maybe like a bronze participant because it's been a little while, and look, it wasn't terrible. Look, if you want, I'll be the bad guy and I'll give it a bronze, and then you don't have to if you don't want. But yeah, look, I think it was fine. I think there were some good enough moments that it was sort of, again, it's sort of on the cusp, but I'll just sort of nudge it.
Yeah, I'm looking down at my page and I don't probably look, I'm going to give it a bronze to be nice, but yeah, I don't particularly care for this. And yeah, honestly, Beej, your point about it, being a comedy show still, like, did it bring the funnies?
We can skip the funnies if what we have is a really good story, and we just don't. Like, it's got the pieces, but they're not put together properly, and it just doesn't work.
Why I'm sort of more bronze participant is that, for me, participants, there's generally, like, obviously, failure is like, there's so many down arrows that you're like, this has nowhere, and it makes you mad. Participant, usually there's like 0 to 2, maybe up arrows, and this one had at least a couple more than 2, so I was willing to just give it the benefit of the doubt.
Fair. I'm not trying to convince you guys otherwise.
No. I'm trying to convince myself either way, and I don't know where I'm leaning, so I think I should just continue my reputation as the nice judge and fall to a bronze. But it's going to make this a dull bronze, which feels right. It'll be the second dull bronze from season 33, joining A Serious Flanders Part 1.
Okay.
That's like a gold in terms of like season 33, really.
Well, season 33 has had some pretty good moments.
This is the one with Lisa's belly in, isn't it?
Lisa's belly, which, that got a dull gold from our panel. We really liked it. And Pixelated and Afraid is the other high-rated episode from this one where Marge and Homer get stuck out in the woods and are all pixelated for a bit.
And afraid.
Yeah. Ooh. It's actually a really interesting episode where they do the
very different direction, but yeah, it is worth checking out if nothing else.
Yeah.
While I was scrolling through like the seasons to try, and I was like, oh, season 30, oh shit, they're already up to season 36. I thought there was one literally called Bottle Episode in season 36, and I'm like, hey guys, really?
Someone just learned what that is. Thanks, Simpsons writers.
All right.
Well, try bottling my enthusiasm to review that one. All right, well, we are going to move on to the next season, season 34, for just one more episode tonight. And this is season 34, episode title,
I feel like we have to preface the fact that you've hidden the title from us.
I was about to say, Elliot hasn't let us know what it is, and that has filled us with dread. At what could possibly be coming our way.
Oh my god, I forgot to fill in those question marks in my notebook with actual episode number and episode title. Silly me.
Guess we'll
Jordan,
find out.
I think you might find them in D6 if you happen to have one handy.
Oh, no, I don't actually. Wait, hold on. I don't have anything that could function as a D6.
Yes,
Sorry,
I do.
Beej.
Yep. Natch. What am I doing with this?
Well, Beach does so much dice rolling, I thought I'd give someone else a chance.
Makes
Yeah,
sense.
sorry.
Not everybody has
I'm like, I don't even know where the fuck my dice are at the moment. It's somewhere.
Beach has got dice everywhere in his house.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right, a D6, please.
I've got that, but what am I... A 5. What does that mean for a title?
It means we are reviewing season 34, episode 20, The Very Hungry Caterpillars.
Ah, because it was chaos, not because it was a
Oh.
pick. I thought you were like hiding the title from us so we wouldn't get mad.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at the preview of this one, and I think I'm going to get mad.
Well, yeah, because we got about 8 episodes left to review from season 34, and there were 2 that I'm saving for other people. Sorry, Jordan. And then
That's
I was
fine.
like, 6 left over. Oh, there's 6 on a dice. Most people have a D6 handy, Jordan.
I'm sorry.
Anyway.
I failed you in every which way.
But no, there were elements from all 6 of these that would have made sense for a Jordan podcast. So I thought, you know what? Chaos.
Yes, let chaos
Yeah, I love it.
reign.
So we are going to review season 34, episode 20, The Very Hungry Caterpillars. We'll be back. And we are back, and we just watched another episode from the Disney era, season 34, episode 20, The Very Hungry Caterpillars. It was first released in May of 2023 and was directed by Gabriele DeFrancesco, written by Brian Kelly. In this episode, Springfield is inundated with caterpillars, which is forcing them into a lockdown, and a bunch of plague-like storylines come out of that. Very reminiscent of the COVID days. A lot of COVID storylines. Hey guys, what do we think?
I don't know how to feel about this episode
Yeah.
because there were some quite funny moments, but overall I still kind of felt mad.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Look, I mean, going into this one, and I'm going to presume this is maybe the same point of, like, I never watched it, but Netflix did have the show Death to 2020, which was like, we're going to talk about all the horrible things that happened this year. And even without seeing it, the concept of that made me mad because it's like, hey, you all lived through this, let's sell it back to you. And I think this has the same energy to that. It's like, we've all, you remember that thing you experienced? Well, here's our take on it, waka waka. And it's like,
It's a very unfortunate task where, lockdown was an amazing opportunity for anybody to sit down and do some writing. And especially, you write what you know, you write your experiences. And so we do have this collection of shows and stuff that persisted through this era. And I was even talking about it with friend of the podcast, Jekyll, recently from Pods in the King of Springfield.
like and subscribe.
And we were talking about the show. Fuck, I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head, but it was a Josh Thomas-led show. And
Like me?
no, the one after that, Everything's Gonna Be Okay.
Oh, yeah.
There we go. And it was on a real trajectory to be something special. And then its second season was a lockdown season, and they tried their best, but it just kind of deflated, I think, any interest
lockdown
in
season is in they recorded it during lockdown, or lockdown season is it then took place during lockdown, or both?
Yes to both, yeah.
Okay.
And I think there's just a pile of this kind of TV shows and stuff that, like, even I'm not ready to, like, go back to and, like, even enjoy because, like, it was a very uninspiring time, I gotta say. And a lot of these lockdown episodes of shows end up sort of hitting the same things. To be fair, we all were at the same time. But I don't know. What do you guys think on that? Like,
I think it was pretty miserable for a lot of people. And like, you can sort of make jokes about like, oh, it was just like you just didn't have to work or whatever. Like, but it was a very sort of traumatic experience for a lot of people because it was just like, my livelihood is gone now or something like that, and there's nothing I can do about it. It's completely out of my control, and that kind of thing. And it just feels like, I don't know, people treating it like, it was like a funny little joke sort of episode. It wasn't. It was like years of our lives and of our, it's strange because it's not like we can think about it now and be like, oh, wasn't that crazy? But at the time, like, it was very stressful for so many people. I mean, it was good in a way because it meant that companies are like, oh, okay, like work from home is 100% possible. But I mean, obviously that's all being walked back now because with return to office orders and shit. But like, I don't know.
Oh, look, for our operations, it was actually fantastic because it forced us to get our, game like with doing international recordings and Zoom recordings and all that sort of stuff. Like, we really got around that quick. And like, because of that, we were also able to ask like some international people that we hadn't yet because because
now everyone in entertainment had their own home set up because they had to.
Exactly, and had the time to go, yeah, I'll watch a couple of fucking shit episodes of The Simpsons with these weird Australians. That's all right.
Yeah, nice.
It's huge for us.
And like, yeah, still, 2020 was our best year of downloads by far.
Yeah.
And yeah, so like I still like I have some affection to that times, and mostly being a very inside boy as well. Like,
ditto.
There were like we had moments like Jackbox was fun, wasn't it? Like,
yeah, absolutely. But at the same time, like this, I don't know. I feel like it tries to do it, but it sort of misses a lot of the. But maybe it actually nails it because it was like again, it was that same thing of me just being like, this actually makes me quite annoyed or agitated to like watch this because it's
not genuine lols though. It's more like, that's what it was like. Like, it doesn't.
Like, there were some good jokes, but they were completely removed from the plot. They were just sort of little side gags, and that was fine. It was like the plot itself was.
Yeah.
And at the rate that The Simpsons move as well, like, because like I said, it was released in May of 2023, even as one of the most lockdown cities, like, we were out of our lockdowns well and truly by then. I think the last big one was in 2021. So, I mean, and I'm pretty sure the South Park fucking COVID piece of shit specials came out. But anyway, what I'm getting at is, like, Simpsons, like, once again, just because of their production schedule, it might have just been best avoided doing a COVID episode entirely because they didn't need to. And then after watching this, I'm still like, they didn't need to.
No one sat there and thought, oh, I can't wait to see the Simpsons take on this.
No.
It's like that was actually one of my notes was like, why didn't they do this in like 2021? Like, start writing it during lockdown. Like, why'd they wait 3 years? Like, it's so wild to me that they like I understand, like you said, it's production schedule, but is it 2.5 years to make an episode? Surely not.
True.
Like, that
surely they could have
got
out faster.
Yeah, like this one would have like started production theoretically, like unless Brian Kelly was writing it well before. Like, this one would have started production when most of
like
the world were done.
You think?
We're done doing lockdowns probably. But the other fucking thing I discovered from this episode is, apparently caterpillar is spelled CATERPILLARS. It's not two T's.
No.
And in this edition of Boy AI Fucking Sucks, I went to Google this and I was like, how do you spell caterpillars? And the AI overview said, it's spelled the way I said, with one T. It's spelled caterpillars with one R. And I'm like, you got the spelling right, but there are two R's.
Wait, which R did they remove?
Right? Like, they didn't remove an R. Like, they showed it spelled. It's the fucking... Like, have you
what's that saying?
that?
Something about
strawberry?
I see.
Yeah, I was going to say.
They thought it was like caterpillar or something.
No,
I'm confused.
Yeah, it says caterpillar spelt correctly, but then it says with one R. And it's can't, like... How are we've already made the computer stupid.
Do you know, like, I'm assuming you've heard the trick of how to remove your AI overview from your Google search?
No, tell me.
Okay, so instead of saying, how do you spell caterpillar? Search, how do you fucking spell caterpillar? And seriously, try it. It will be two completely different pages.
I'm gonna try this. Sorry, listeners at home, but we have to find out.
Do you have to abuse the computers so they stop helping?
Yeah.
Oh my god, that is crazy.
Right? Completely got, like, you just get back to your normal pages of results. Like, it gets rid of all, like, definition, gets rid of discussion, like all of that shit. It just goes back to it's usually a Reddit post on the first thing, but still it's like back to normal transmission sort of for Google, which is pretty good. So yeah, just add fuck or fucking or whatever to your search query and it removes your AI.
And now I've learned Caterpillar Fuck is an art coaster by Scottish artist and illustrator David Shirley.
Okay, well look, you went too far down the page, Beej. I'm just going to be honest.
No, that is my first hit.
You shouldn't have gone to images.
Wait, do you have to spell, how do you fucking spell caterpillar or how do you spell fucking caterpillar?
Well, I mean, well, that's up to your preference, I think.
I don't know anymore.
Well, but it was just one of these things where, like, because, like, the Very Hungry Caterpillar as well, what this episode is based off, the children's book, it's an Australian book, right? Like, I'm not remembering that.
I think it is. I think it's, like, close. Like, we obviously learn about it, but I don't think it is. No,
I remember this book.
Eric Carl, that's right.
Carl.
Yeah, I remember this book so vividly as a kid. Did you guys have this one?
Everyone had
absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, it was American. Okay.
Yeah. No, I definitely had one. I had one that was like a little pop-out book, I think, version of it. Very cute.
Yeah. No, great art in that book. Anyway, but more on this fucking episode. BT, what stands out to you for better or worse?
Okay, you know what? I'm going to go with a positive. There's a bit in the beginning where they're all sitting around the breakfast table. Maggie's in a phase where she won't eat anything that doesn't have ranch dressing all over it. And Homer's reading a newspaper that just says, Springfield shop requires new, larger fonts. I like that sign gag, really but then later on, he's reading the same paper. And at first I'm like, oh, it's a mistake. No. He can't go get a new one. So, of course, he's reading the same paper. And I was like, okay. And they don't point to it either. They're like, Dad, are you reading the same paper? No. So I'm like, I really respect that you, A, thought of that, and B, didn't, like, point at it because it's just a little blink and you'll miss it. I quite liked it. So, yeah, that got a big grin out of me.
Oh, there we go. How about you, Jordan? What stands out to you for better or worse?
I can't decide between one of two. Can I do two quick ones?
Absolutely.
Okay. Two is the family, like Marge specifically, really should be taking more notice of Lisa's sort of
descent into madness.
I want to say mental breakdown that she's having, because that's like she's really having some issues that need help, and like no one's paying attention at all. Like no one's coming in to see.
Dressing to think about.
No one's like worrying about her welding little bits of plastic or like why she's doing it with like fucking live wire, I guess, or whatever. Anyway, that was a little bit like disheartening. And second was just like, I get they were saying like, oh, everyone's not being themselves in the lockdown. But the way that Ned is so fucking violent, really like
massive integrity break for
like
Ned.
Absolute whiplash. I was like, there's no fucking way he would be like this. Like even in his angriest, like when he breaks in that episode and stuff, he's not violent like that. He's just cold-blooded in this. It's so strange.
That was a whole episode built to it, whereas this, he hears someone in his basement, he goes, the end of days is coming for you, but a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, yeah, I'm ready to beat anyone in this basement to death with this croquet mallet.
Yeah, and drown Homer. Like, what the fuck is going on? It's so strange.
Yeah. Like, if they spent more time establishing that he was, losing it a little bit, it still would be terrible. Like, it wouldn't have earned it, but they didn't even do that much.
They specifically show him just singing songs with his kids. Like
he's perfectly happy until he's homicidal.
Yeah, like remember when we reviewed that episode that starts out with Homer strangling Grandpa?
Yeah, and then it's a dream, but it still feels weird.
I didn't actually know it. Apparently, like years later, I found out that was actually a reference to The Sopranos.
I don't care.
Yeah, and it's like even if this was a reference to whatever, it's like, cool, you watched a thing and now you've done it on The Simpsons. It sucks. Why the fuck is Flanders holding Homer's head underneath a giant drum of ranch dressing?
So he can kill him. Homer, and Ned has decided to murder a man.
It's weird because even at the end where Marge is like, Ned, no, this isn't like you. You're a sweet man or whatever. He doesn't go, oh my God, you're right. Oh, I'm so sorry. He's just like looks at himself and goes, And it's just like, you haven't resolved this at all. Like that's attempted fucking murder. Like it's different, like stealing your neighbor's supplies or whatever. But like he tried to kill him, like for real. That's so out of it was. Yeah. Anyway, I just thought that was just such a like that's not happening. Surely this is a dream or something.
And it weirdly like this episode just falls on this weird line of Flanderization in this one where it, like, first of all highlights how far this character's gone off the deep end, where he goes, oh, I should put a bit more Christian inside Extremer's Christian end times prepper. And it's like, yeah, that was never Ned. But also, like, the episode threads this joke of, like, Ned being a bit bubbly about the actual potential incoming rapture, and how maybe there is a bit of element to that, how enthused Christians are by the idea of rapture and being good enough to have their souls saved or whatever, and like the inherent creepiness about that. But it just wasn't about this at all. And when we get this scene of, again, Ned holding Homer to drown in ranch dressing is just... And his voice sounds so different.
It's wrong as well.
It's wrong. It is legit wrong.
Yeah, it sounds very like he's in a trance. It's very strange.
And again, it doesn't feel like it's the point because it's the lockdown or him even acknowledging, oh man, these caterpillary times. It's none of that. It's just, oh, Ned had one of your little homicidal rages.
Yeah.
Oh, well, back to church next week.
You know Ned.
Yep, prepping all them cans.
All smiles and sunshine and tries to beat you to death with a croquet mallet.
Yeah. Anyway. Hey, what stood out for you, Elliot?
I like the idea of Bart's little story here, and I think this is one where it actually uses the parameters of the lockdowns well, in that Bart realizes, on his remote learning screen, they're calling it Chat Hippo then. I feel like, Jordan, you're about to say why this is a very dirty joke.
No, but I'm glad I've got my reputation intact. No, I don't even know.
Not a learning moment.
I do actually have... Wait, do you have one, Beach, or...?
No, I just said it was not Jordan's anal corner.
Oh, okay.
But if you got one,
but I can do it later.
It was never going to be an anal corner. It was just potentially Jordan teaches us about weird internet shit.
No, I think Chat Hippo, I feel like it's supposed to be like, I don't know, there was probably some American learning system that they put in place that was like...
Yeah, it wouldn't be surprised.
Learn Lion or something like that, or I don't know.
Well, I will point out one funny thing. Yeah, like Chat Hippo, I don't get what the joke is here, but it's very funny when they're watching the streaming service at the start of the episode, and it's called Binge Plus.
Yeah.
And
they were like, ha ha.
Yeah, so for those Americans that don't know, Binge is an Australian streaming service that mostly does Fox and HBO stuff, but it is currently slashing its prices because HBO have announced that they're trying to play the Australian streaming market. So all the best content that's on Binge is going to be on HBO, and I fucking love this news because Binge sucks. They don't do the fucking NTSC PAL conversion, so everything sounds mousy and shit. Like that time that we watched an episode of Game of Thrones on Binge and Charles Dance sounded like a mouse. Fuck Foxtel, fuck Binge. Sorry, that's my rant. But anyway, it's funny that this episode that came out in May of 2023, Binge was a thing in May of 2020.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's definitely been around longer, so that they should have looked and been like, is there already something called Binge? Surely not, right? Ha ha ha.
I reckon they would have gone, oh, that name's a bit on the nose. No one would call their streaming service that.
Probably.
Yeah. Well, no, technically it was Binge Plus, so I guess, you know.
Meanwhile, Foxtel's like, can we sue?
Yeah.
So wait, are we
getting...
getting...
it's their own show.
No.
That's so funny.
Are we getting Max then? Are we getting HBO Max coming?
Allegedly, one of the unfortunate rumors is it might be one of these like Prime Video sub channels, but we're not totally, we don't know yet.
I'll just get so annoying to be like, oh, cool, there's this show. Oh, what's it on? HBO. You know what? That's fine. I'll sign up for that. Oh, I can't.
Yeah.
Because I'm in a different country. But I will give you money for the show.
If in 2017 they'd given us HBO Max, I would have been subscribed, but they made it so fucking difficult that I'm like...
Oh, you simply must hold on to your subscription for the new season of House of the Dragon coming out in 4 years.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. I will do an old skull and crossbones play, as they call it.
Well, for me, this means that AEW television, which is normally on HBO Max in the States, is going to be on that, and I won't have to have Triller anymore, which I only have for AEW content.
Right.
And it is a fucking garbage service, worse than Binge, somehow. Anyway, so back to Bart's story. So I like this using of the Zoom window where the teacher has forgotten to turn their camera off and Bart realizes that he can spy on Skinner, and the Skinner household is having a visit from Cousin Peter. Did you guys happen to hear who was
it was
playing
so
him?
Rob Lowe, right?
It was Roblo.
Okay, yeah. It was just some little inflections of his voice. It's just like, oh, okay, that's Roblo. Yeah.
Yeah, if that name's not immediately familiar, he was the bad guy in Wayne's World 1, and
He's usually the corporate bad guy in a lot of things until he was, Chris in Parks and Rec.
Chris Traeger in Parks and Rec, yep.
Yeah.
I think he was on like a medical show for a long time there.
He's in a lot of stuff. He pops up.
He was the young, handsome one in The Outsiders.
Now he's the old handsome one in everything he does.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think he was part of that 80s brat pack with like all the Breakfast Club kids. I think St. Elmo's Fire was a big Rob Lowe vehicle as well. I haven't seen it, but I know the song.
Mm-hmm.
Lisa plays it in the car when she's driving once.
The Man in Motion.
Yeah, he's now in something called 911 Lone Star, which YouTube kept giving me shorts for, even though I kept being like, I am not interested in this. Because it's some just like cop procedural or something, and it's just like, it looks garbage. They kept being like, hey, look at this short. It's got Rob. I'm like, I don't care. Please go away.
But no, I actually liked this story, and this is like a good use of the lockdown. Like, I don't think it like lived up to its full potential of like the kids all gathering to like joke about Skinner and everything like that. I don't feel like enough like things against Skinner that were funny happened.
Yeah, not enough things. The idea that all the kids are hooked on this, not enough happens for it to be interesting to keep them engaged. If you'd had a line about watching this guy isn't as funny as you said it was, but it's like, yeah, but what else are you doing?
Yeah,
Something like that.
Like it's very banal, and then like, oh, don't you see? He's like folding his clothes like a loser, and it's like, what else are you gonna do
or
with them?
something like that.
And
he puts knives in the second drawer. What a fucking weirdo. Yeah, like something like that.
Yeah, like all those conversations that we got like stuck around at the time, and like, what order do you put your cutlery? And it's all about knife, fork, spoon for me. Anyway.
What? No, I'm kidding. Sorry.
And it's a thing where I liked the heart of this because I liked where Bart's turn came from, especially with all the kids going, oh, they're taking the man's blankie. You don't take a man's blankie. Like, there was some good kid stakes drama in there for me.
Yeah. I guess it was just, I fully expected someone like Ralph to, like, everyone is like, make sure you turn your microphone, like mute your microphone so that he can't hear you because we're spying on him, right? I fully expected Ralph to just like give the game away or something like that because it was just like, how do you not notice that you've got this open? Because that was the one like sort of TV magic unbelievable thing, was that it's like he just keeps it on the whole time and just doesn't turn it off somehow or forget that it's still on. But yeah,
well, that could have given it some stakes if there were like more moments of, oh shit, don't give the game away, you're ruining our favorite show or something like that. But that's getting into the change question. Let's ask other questions like, was this a particularly wacky episode?
Oh my god, some of it, yeah. Like Kirk is fucking dead. Kirk died horribly.
I gotta say, as far as this story goes, I like the casting here. Kirk, totally, he's day 2 anti-lockdown guy.
Yeah, 100%.
That tracks to me.
Yeah,
out there covered in caterpillars being like, there's no danger.
Yeah, I'll take the, is he dead joke for that. Yeah.
I think that's probably the most explosive spew I've seen Maggie ever do.
Yeah. Babies will vomit on you.
That was really, what was she eating? Because she's mainly eating ranch, but she vomited something that was like puce. Like, I don't know what that was.
Baby puke, man. No one understands its coloring.
Puce.
Honestly, just before that, I had a moment of whack where Homer's trying to convince her that the mayonnaise is ranch dressing, so she'll eat it, and he eats some himself and then like cringes. And I was expecting this went off 2 months ago or something, but he just like, okay, that's mayo. I'm like, why is Homer cringing at eating mayonnaise?
Yeah,
Elliot,
this is the man
Elliot, maybe you can answer this for us.
Nope, gonna drive right past that one. No, I mean, this is the man who poured vodka into mayonnaise, shook it up, and drank it. Like,
yeah, exactly.
But also wacky in the fact that he writes a little label that says ranch dressing over the mayo because Maggie will be able to read that.
I get that in the sense of like, you do it without thinking Maggie can't read, and then hey, maybe she just knows the shape of the words, and that's enough. You trying to say, I get it, and it tells the audience what is happening immediately. So
something else really wacky and gross was Roblo being thrown out into the pile of caterpillars and going, my orifices. Like, bro, Simpsons, don't do that. Why? Like, because we go, no, we meant
Well, you know
ears.
there are caterpillars in his
No, you
butthole.
didn't. No,
Yeah.
you did not.
Yeah.
In his...
My other note of whack
Rob
is
Lowe
that
insisted, quite frankly.
I will talk about my orifices and you are going to listen.
But I need to do it method. So
My other
Rob Lowe
note
needs
of
more
whack
caterpillar. Sorry.
was, so there's a bit where the windows are covered with caterpillars, and Marge knocks on the window and the caterpillars kind of move away and the light pours in, but the light is like 3D animated. It's
like heavenly.
weird.
Like
Yeah, it doesn't look bad. It just looks the wrong kind of animation or graphic or effect for what it should. I don't know, it was not, again, I wasn't going to complain about it, just stuck out as being shouldn't be there, I guess.
Well, that's a big point of disappointment for me in this episode, and especially in terms of, when we talk about wacky, we also talk about how they're using the animation space, and I wish there was just a bit more cool animation moments with the caterpillars. Like, I didn't really get them from that. Like, Homer's blowtorching them to make a path to Ned's, and then, like, just them crawling up people and the mayor's floozy running around. Like, none of these moments, like, looked cool animation-wise, but, like, there was one cool moment of animation, I thought, when Homer and Marge did break into Ned's to get at his ranch supply, and they made a noise, and you saw Ned's footsteps.
Oh, like the dust,
Yeah, from the floorboards underneath. So Marge and Homer are looking at the roof. That's where Ned's
dropping
walking.
dust as it stomp, stomp, stomp.
That was a really cool animation moment, followed up by Ned trying to drown Homer in ranch, which was not a good animation moment.
No. There was one sort of animation which was just like a flash in the pan sort of thing, but like I guess it wasn't really animation, but it was just like a sort of background gag with the caterpillars where they've crawled up all over the Lard Lad donut statue, but they've crawled into the shape of a top hat and a beard, which I thought was kind of cute. But yeah, that's enough of that.
And even Lisa, like, torching her Malibu Stacy stuff, like, I was waiting for more, like, horrible melted toy moments from this, and it was just all a bit boring.
I know. She goes insane after 2 days. This is pure
I get that this was supposed to be sort of like a condensed thing because they couldn't do a real lockdown thing, right? They couldn't do an actual sickness because that's too close to home. That's too real. And like they had to make it like, I guess when it's like you say day one, you're supposed to think this is probably like month 1, month 2, month 3, like something. But because that they did choose to do it as days and not months, then you've kind of shot yourself in the foot with like, we're going to
it comes back to the point I was making at the start of this is just, maybe don't do this story. Like, don't feel like you have to. Like, there were so many shows at the times that did kind of have to address it, like, because of their nature of being ongoing series that take place in the real world or a shot. Like, but animation shows, you had the blessing of ignoring this shit. Like,
you could be the escapism people wanted. Who would have thought?
Yeah. But ultimately, did this episode have heart? Was this a bumpy episode of The Simpsons?
I mean, the kids coming around seeing Skinner cry and, having the you don't take a man's blankie, that's really the best we get.
Yeah, and, it was fine enough that they got Cousin Peter to say something bad about Agnes on camera, but it also felt a bit convenient. That didn't feel like the backup plan if Nelson failed or if they were doing the double take. Like, I didn't buy that ending. That was just like, okay, I suppose that's how you're ending this story.
Yeah. I did like because you knew like, who is this fucking guy? Like, why would Agnes love him so much? There was that bit where she said something and like you just saw his little like eye twitch like about halfway through and you're like, oh, okay, so like he's scamming her or doing something, he's just putting on a facade. But like, I thought the payoff was a little bit contrived in the end, but yeah, you're right. Like, I think it was a bit like, okay.
Well, in terms of heart as well, like, Lisa kind of just arrives at her own point, and then Maggie's story doesn't exactly get resolved, and it's, creating a new problem of what the fuck's going on with Ned at the moment. Yeah.
Well, even Lisa's story was just kind of, oh, no, when things are bad, we have to believe it'll be fine and have empathy. And it was just, she didn't earn that on her own. It was just a sudden turn because in her fantasy, they try to board up the wall of the Malibu Stacy Mall and then a caterpillar gets in anyway, but she gives it lettuce and it eats the lettuce. It's like,
okay, but now it's done with the lettuce.
Yeah, it's like if your threat was not letting the caterpillars in, then that's happened anyway. If you were, but now I'm not scared of them, but they're still causing the problems that they were causing.
So Lisa's whole grandstanding here feels like the writer lecturing you in a time where we were a year out from most places being locked down anyway.
To me, it felt like, she needs to make a speech here.
Yeah.
Something about empathy. Yeah.
No, this is Homer and Marge realizing, oh shit, we just tried to distract our daughter and we should have been into this as well. Like,
I feel like, I mean, look, I sort of get the point that they're trying sort of vaguely to make at the end, where Lisa is like every time I try and like take my mind off things or just like enjoy something, you always bring it back to whatever. And I think that is important to know. There are people that like will doom scroll occasionally and do that kind of thing, or like, especially now at the moment where the future is a bit bleaker every day, where you do have to sort of go like, I can't just focus on all this negativity. Like the Torment Nexus tweet that, you know, like we've created, like that we've literally created with our phones that just stream bad things to our brain every single day.
The classic sci-fi novel, Don't Create the Torment Nexus.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Basically we have to be able to go, I have to turn this off and maybe try and focus on something positive or do something that makes me happy instead of just constantly looking at all these awful things. And if that's the point they're trying to make, like, yes, absolutely. But I don't know, like it coming from within for her just seems a bit, I guess, inauthentic, I guess, and is not sort of how it would work. Like you need that sort of sometimes an external force or breaker to come in and be like, look, I understand things are looking bad. However, like there are certain things out of your control and there's certain things within your control. And like you sort of have to just like think about that. Like, you know, what you can control, that type of thing.
They're just trying to express it like they are with the days. And it's like, like you were saying before, Jordan, coming off as really contrived as a result. But ultimately, does this feel like an episode of The Simpsons? These the characters? Is this a show?
I mean, the fact we all use the term massive integrity break.
Several times.
Yep.
Look, it's falling under this classic. The Simpsons themselves seem fine. Flanders is all the way off in Cuckoo Banana Land. Agnes and Skinner, fine. But the show... No?
I don't know that, like, Agnes would be berating Peter for his, like, dyed hair and his Hawaiian shirts with, like, 2 buttons undone. Short. Like, even if he is buttering her up, which is like, is he doing it for the blanket? Like, that's never explained. But like,
well, they're expensive apparently.
Yeah, but like, we don't see him like trying to sell it. We just see an anonymous call or what. Like, I don't understand. Like, that's a little bit weird for those two. I like because like Agnes hates Skinner, but like he knows her patterns and like knows how to appease her and stuff. And this other guy just seems like this isn't someone that Agnes would hate to me.
I don't know. There is something to the, you know, cousin that mum always heaps praise on and like sees all my every flaws and everything. And that kind of dynamic I buy, but yeah, you're right. Without the like clear intentions and motivations of him in the blanket and then just this kind of flopping out of the final parts of the story, it just kind of undercuts what things were working about it.
Yeah. Especially because like Agnes goes right back to be like, and like treats Skinner how she never treats him, essentially, by being like, what a sweet boy and I love him. Like it was just like, well, no, like that's you've overshot there. That's not how your usual dynamic is.
Yeah, it's still like love with still Agnes's undercutting. It's like, you know, earlier in the episode she goes, oh, he's so cheap, he only gave me half a computer. That's a tablet, mother. And then later in the episode it's like he showed her values, like he showed me on his half computer how I can, and like that's still like,
that's a nice tie through.
Yeah, Agnes is giving a compliment, but still undercutting it. It's still a half computer that he's fucking given me, but you know what? But yes or no, would you watch this episode again?
I don't think I would want to.
Yeah, what's there to pull? It's only to, you know, it would be interesting to analyze the media covering the pandemic. That would be interesting, and seeing how they did it and how they represented various things. But only for like an academic purpose would I ever see a reason to watch this again.
100%. Yeah, that is the only good reason to watch it. Like, even if you're putting together a Simpsons Caterpillar playlist and you want to watch this and the Screamer Pillar, just watch the Screamer Pillar episode.
Yeah.
BT, what would you like to change?
I think we've covered it. I kind of just want a different ending to pretty much every storyline.
Yep.
Which is, you know, because individually they all work to varying degrees and they are reflective of something from lockdown, but yeah, ultimately, I didn't feel anything for any storyline in particular, so I could kind of leave most of them, actually all of them, and that would be fine.
I think you can leave Moe's storyline alone. I think that little wrapped up quite nicely. His 10-second story.
I liked that one where he tries to burn his bar by covering it in rum, but it doesn't light, and he goes, "Oh, I've really watered down my booze too much." I was like, I actually like that joke.
I think he just succumbs. That's pretty.
Yeah.
That makes me think, why don't we just have a whole bunch of little stories from everyone in Springfield?
Yeah, 22 short films about lockdown. Yeah.
About how people are handling it. That, to me, would be way more interesting.
It looks like they've already maybe done one in this season or something, because I saw one that was like short stories about Springfield's women or something like that in the episode list of this season. So I thought maybe they were like, we can't do 2 in one season. That's crazy. What would I like to change though? Sorry, I just think I've got to handle that Ned storyline differently. That's so strange. Like that.
Yep.
I think like I don't know how you change it to be better, but I just can't in good conscience keep it like that. Just cut it.
Yeah.
Maybe just cut it. Maybe just cut the episode. Maybe just cut it. Yeah, like I think if there was a way to tie them all together, maybe that would be good. Maybe you could do some sort of like, I don't know. I don't know how, but like there's got to be something better to fix it, because I'm losing my mind thinking about it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have the answers either. Like I said, I really didn't like how the Bart story ended, even though it had such a good moment of heart for the kids to turn around and be on Skinner's side. There's just a better way to end that. But, I mean, also with the other stories, like, I really like the idea of Maggie getting fussy over food in a time where it's like impossible to do anything about it, especially if, the shoppers have gone a bit cray-cray as they want to do and have started buying bulk on all the ranch in town, Maggie's only food that she'll eat anything with at the moment. And I feel like there's a way to converge hers and Lisa's storylines. And yeah, similarly, Jordan, I'm going mad trying to figure out how, because like there is something there for Lisa to recognize Maggie's like little single focus obsession with ranch dressing and like how maybe Lisa's focus is also turning her into a bit of a baby in a way.
What if it was like something stupid, like caterpillars really hate ranch or something like that?
So it's being all used up.
So you've got to use it, to like fight off the caterpillar horde. Because again, it was I think now I think about it, going back, Lisa is just really far off base, because like on day 2 or whatever, you see like she's scrolling through her phone, and the headlines she's reading that she's going, oh no, it's all like, it's weird like conspiracy theory bullshit, because it was like giant chrysalis appears over like, and it's like, well, that's obviously fake or whatever. And it's sort of like, I forgot about that because it's Homer's line of Lisa's making the noises again or whatever. But like, it's so strange for her. Anyway.
Take that as being, she's like, Twitter's blowing up and meme Twitter is making jokes and conspiracy Twitter is believing them.
Yeah.
So I guess somewhere along the line she slipped to conspiracy Twitter and began to believe that by day 2. But
that was a good quote. Yeah, Alarmitus is feeding sarcastic, is feeding conspiracy Twitter.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They're all the same Twitter. It's that Apple like keynote speech. Like it's all one app. It's the everything app.
But yeah, look, this is an episode that's hard to talk about without wanting to change it, so that's sort of where we leave that question as we move on to the final notes.
Final notes. I've got quite a lot of shit here.
We'll start with BT this time then.
Yeah. Sorry.
Let's see. There's something kind of funny about all their devices, including the screen on the fridge going off all at once to let them know the lockdown is happening. That feels right.
Internet fridges are still a very, very funny joke, in my opinion.
Yep. Just a joke I hated is when they're like, oh, we're here with Frank from the CDC, the Center for Disgusting Caterpillars.
Fuck off.
Like someone wrote that and didn't immediately delete it. That's ridiculous. I do like how they get hooked on steak or cake or fake. That's, I was going to say a big, why was there no Tiger King? But no, this is their version. Like, okay, they found their niche show they got locked in on. Yeah, fair.
And also, much like the Rubik's Cube, like just the family falling apart over trying to navigate a streaming service, especially as so many streaming services are so garbage and they all have their own little quibbles with trying to navigate them. Yeah, I did enjoy this bit.
Yep.
But it does feel it did feel very like, oh, these newfangled technologies, right? Because like at least every one of them has a forgot password button that you can at least click, and they were like, I'm just resolved to just try and figure out what the password is, apparently.
Which could have been a stacked joke of like, what's the Netflix password? Hit reset password. Okay, send it to your email. I don't remember my email password.
Yeah.
Or something.
I thought it was heading towards something like that and then figuring out, oh, yeah, we're leeching Flanders' account or something. Like,
that would have been better because I get the point. They needed to cut The Simpsons off from TV, but have the caterpillars truth through the cable? I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's see. I do also, similar in like getting focused on something you've never cared about before. I do like Bart being like, whatever rugby is, Wellington is really bad at it.
I just want to say, they really don't know enough about rugby to be making these jokes, is what I'm saying.
Jordan, rugby isn't a sport. The Simpsons just made it up.
They call it, because on the website, like, I know it's a joke and they're just like, oh, crazy. This is a game that like a lot of the world plays, but they call it New Zealand rules. But I'm sorry, but the laws of the game are defined by World Rugby. It's not New Zealand
I think
rules.
they're trolling you right now, Jordan.
Yeah, well, it's fucking working, all right?
You got worked, brother.
Not only is there no rugby, there's no such thing as Wellington. Okay.
Who would call a place like that? And Christchurch? Who would live in a Christchurch? It's all made up.
New Zealand? How can there be a New Zealand if there's no Zealand?
Yeah.
There is. It's in Scotland.
Yeah, sure. Scotland, like you believe in that. All right. Bit of an integrity break because Homer's going through his, password options like sexy Marge, sexy Bernice. I'm like, wait,
what the fuck was that about, though? Like,
because look, Homer ogles women every now and then, but I don't think he's ever been obsessed enough to like potentially have a password saved, and there's something very off about that.
Well, and that was another one where I was like, that's an easy punch up. Like, he's just trying to, who am I pinching this account from? I just have to say what all guys' passwords are, or something like that, Sexy Bernice, sexy Helen, sexy Miss Hoover, I don't know.
Yep.
Yeah, just something else, because just on its own, it's like, wait, what? Does he have a thing for...
Yeah.
Whatever.
There's a bit during the Ned fight where Homer reaches for like something and it's, a choice between soft pretzels and hard pretzels. He grabs the hard pretzel. I'm like, okay, that's
yeah.
I did like that joke.
Yep. And finally, I like that Skinner says, how dare you, when What's-His-Face says something mean about Agnes, he's like, how dare you say that? This woman's an IBS survivor. Like, okay. And that is all my notes. Elliot, back to you in the studio.
Which... unfortunately, I was like, oh, did they pinch that off 30 Rock? Because that's how Tracy Jordan's wife introduces herself on Queen of Jordan as like a real proud, I'm an IBS survivor. Yeah.
It might have done, and unintentionally.
Jordan, any final notes?
Yes. I gotta say, when I started this episode, I was like, what the fuck is this narration that's going on? Because it was like, it was saying all this stuff in like a lady's voice, and I was like... This is a strange choice. And then I realized that I turned on audio description version of the captions. And I was like, okay. Because I'm like, this has nothing to do with it. This can't be. And I'm like, because I turned on captions to be like, it's just a little bit easy to read. Can't see without my captions. And and I turned on audio description. So I was like, I am so fucking stupid. Like, I just put on audio description, but it makes the episode quite strange, but interesting.
Yeah, I did this the other week when we were reviewing the movie Cradle to Grave for the Hollywood Jack podcast, which are reviewing the films of Jack Black. And it starts out with
You mean Rock the Cradle.
Oh, Rock the Cradle. What did I say?
Cradle to Grave, which I believe is like...
DMX. Yeah, DMX and Jet Li movie.
I was like, we watched the same movie, right?
Yeah. Really faked my way through that podcast. Yeah. Oh, and that bit where Jack Black was scaling down that movie as Kyle Gass was doing that jewel heist. Yeah. God, it was a bad movie. No, Cradle Will Rock. It starts out with like a classic movie text crawl, and I also had the visual descriptions on, and I'm like, wow, this vocal delivery is really distracting, and I thought this is meant to take place, in between the world wars. This doesn't sound off the time, and it's like, oh, wait, I got audio descriptors on.
Yeah. There was, I don't know if you guys noticed this, when Kent's broadcast at the very start, there was a really weird shift in the quality of his voice, like halfway through a sentence. I was like... In my head, I went, they must have ADR'd this. And I'm like, you idiot, what are you talking about? It's all ADR.
Man, it sounds like an earthquake on your end sometimes.
Oh, sorry, I was kicking the wall.
Take that wall. I was going to say it in the last segment as well, like, There have actually been accusations of a recent Simpsons episode, or I think it was like a Christmas special or something that they did, where there's been accusations that there have been maybe AI or auto-tune manipulations on Marge and Harry Shearer's character.
Oh, really?
I should say Julie Kavner and Harry Shearer's character. Not confirmed, just people going, this didn't sound human. So,
Interesting.
It was weird. It sounded like same voice, but he went from like 320 kbps to like 92. You know, like it was strange. Like it just a real downshift in quality halfway through, and I was like, that's weird. And I went back and I'm like, sometimes you know how sometimes when it's like your connection clears up and it gets like high quality. It was that sort of shift. Like it was just, and I went back and did it again and it was the same. And I was like,
who voices Brockman, do we know?
Harry Shearer.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe he was recording from London, as we know, so maybe there was literally a lag in the recording that they got from him, and they were like, we only have one take.
I did have this as a note, that actually, now that you mention it, that there was like a weird thing with Brockman's recording quality, and I thought that they were maybe making a commentary on, news reporters.
It's not a bug, it's a feature.
Now that you mention it, I don't think it was stylistic enough that it wasn't just a shit recording.
Because you know what, like it's sort of like, you know, when you see it in movies or anything where it's like it goes from like in studio to like you pull it back to them watching the TV, so like the quality of the audio shifts. And I thought that maybe that was it, but they they just went then to Frink and stuff on the thing. So I was like, yeah, it's weird. It's like maybe they changed the line halfway through, and so we had to send through another recording of like the half the line, but it was in a different studio or something because it was just different. Yeah, it was weird. Anyway.
Well, yeah, and it reminds me of a animation moment that I liked later in the episode where they're originally Bart's watching Skinner and the events of his house on the Zoom chat, and it's like a little bit of a bit more pixelated, and then it sort of zooms in, and then we get to watch the scene as the fly on the wall in that situation, and it just gradually shifts to not pixelated view, and I'm like, oh, that was quite elegant, but they didn't keep it up, so whatever.
Yeah. There were a couple of pretty good sign gags in this episode, I have to say.
Oh, yeah.
One, like because they're using the non-paid version of the thing, like where Skinner has to read ads or whatever, but then like Bart comes back and he sees the notes are read a book, 2, ponder math, 3, click here to boost your testosterone overnight. Like I thought that was pretty good. There was another one where like Flanders has labeled his condiments in the big vats, and it's like ranch, and then there's island, 1,000, sour, sweet and then Q, BB, which I'm like, that's pretty good. That's not too bad.
And just going back to that Skinner thing, there is a dystopian future where we have to do our own ad reads just to use these services. Like,
it's going to be that Black Mirror episode, man. We can't skip the ads. Yeah.
You're just watching YouTube and it says skip ad or record one of your own.
Squarespace.
Yeah. What do you mean YouTube ads? You don't have Firefox and uBlock? Gotta get on that. So good.
Yes, I
haven't watched a YouTube ad for so long. It's so good. I'm loving it. There is another sign ad where it's just like when Bart's on the call, it's like not even, there's on the back of shelf, he's got a little just like a book that looks like it's been printed out by himself that just says the Encyclopedia of Explosives, which is, something Bart would have. But I'm pretty sure, isn't that called the Anarchist Cookbook? Like, I think that's what it's refers to.
They decided to rebrand, they were like, well, it's not just for anarchists,
Anyone wants to blow things up.
Some people just like archiving recipes. And
exactly.
They're not necessarily anarchists.
There is at the very end when they're looking at God flicks as well, some of the sign, like, because they've obviously got like some bad ones like Master of Nuns, or like they've got blah, 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 like all these other shows. There was one that was obviously a Breaking Bad thing, and it's called Breaking Bread. And I'm like, I sort of get it, but they really should have called it Baking Bread. Like that would have been a better pun, but I guess it's Breaking Bread because it's like, anyway.
It's also already a podcast that's been going for ages. It's hosted by the guy that does Beard Meets Food. Like,
But my favorite sign gag was when Bart's on the like betting website. I don't know if you guys, I had to pause and just look at them all. There was all the categories for all the sports that you could like bet on or do anything. I don't know. Did you guys see some of them? Or
no?
Some of them were so good that like I was like, these are actually all winners. But I think my favorite was there was like, like football, boxing, whatever. But then there was alpine swimming. There was mixed martial badminton. There was the most dangerous game. And then Gaelic sleeping, laser tennis, But then I think my favorite was Wonder Ball with an exclamation mark at the end. And it's like, yeah, I want to know what all these sports are. They look amazing.
So that's good use of the sign gag thing, whereas
Yeah.
the Godflix thing, I'm just like,
Ugh.
it's those sort of like master of none.
Because they did
Curb
they
your
did,
agnosticism.
yeah, because they did 2 bites of the cherry. Because not only did they show them on screen, but then they read out their favorite one
they
as
read out a
well. And I
bunch.
was like, come on.
And then punctuate it with like an angelic choir version of the Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yeah, that grated me pretty hard.
All right, I got a couple of John Daniel corners.
Nice to dip into the corner one more time before the end of the pod.
All right, so when Bart he's like in agree, like, okay, like we're all gonna help Skinner or whatever, all of the kids like click the thumbs up, like the like on the video call, but none of them move their hands or thing, which only makes me realize they must have like neural implants or something to be able to do it without clicking on the like or typing something, to make the like. They're all just nodding at the camera like, yeah.
I don't know, man. I got, again, another thing since lockdown, got good at covert searching.
Yeah.
Like, can you tell I'm searching right now?
I mean, I can because the screen, like when you open up a new tab, your face gets this white flash on it for a second while the camera readjusts.
This one?
Exactly.
Gotta switch to dark mode or something.
Yeah, exactly. Homer, when he's using the wood chipper at the end to roll the ranch back to his house, it just there's a trail that they leave behind that isn't being like filled in as they go, but it just starts in the middle of Flanders's yard. Like there's nothing. It's like they got dropped in from like spawned in
from
in
his
the middle
door.
of instead of like at the door or nearby, which is a bit weird. No plants or leaves or like anything is damaged by these caterpillars because all the cocoons are there. There is not a single like tree that is bereft
Should be
of
stripped bare
foliage
or something.
or anything. There's just, it's all green. All the grass is fine. Like everything is fine. I'm like, that's surely what did the caterpillars eat then? If that was the case.
Caterpillars famously feed on human fear.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's another solid point. Like, the things that the, like, caterpillars could be screwing up for the town are vast. And, yeah, we only get the Simpsons. And it's, like, I get you trying to, like, again, limit the episode, but it's not, like, yeah, that, just coming back to that idea of doing 22 short films in lockdown is way better of an idea for this.
Yeah. Yeah. A couple of other anal corners was that, Ned, does he understand how the Rapture works? Like, why would he need Rapture supplies? Unless he thinks everyone else is going to get raptured and he's going to be left alone.
He's got it backwards.
Everyone goes to hell. Like, but that's not how the Rapture works. Like, why would he need supplies for that?
Yeah.
You'd need the opposite.
Yeah, they're cross-contaminating doomsday prepping with rapturing. Like,
exactly. Because,
that's such a good
especially
point.
because, like, that's a problem that some people think, like, the Rapture is happening, so they get rid of everything in preparation for it because they don't need it anymore, and that's a problem. And secondly, his supplies, like the jar and the can stuff is fine, but that stuff is not refrigerated, so that is all useless. All of those sauces, they need refrigeration. And a lot of them have eggs and milk in them, so they're going to go off pretty quickly. I don't think any of them are any
6 to 8 months max.
Yeah, so anyway, his whole Rapture prepping is very weird, very strange. Anyway, that was all for the John Zeta Corner. I just had a couple little other ones as well. I did like is it a train or a bus, Mum? Yeah, train or a bus. Let us know. Pick a side. Yeah, that was okay.
I love, the kids getting all Jordan's anal quarter about it.
Yeah.
And they all scream Jordan's anal corner and start hitting a bell.
Exactly. That's how they know. They listen. The musical stings in this were like pretty cool, like the little sort of dready music that plays in like day 2 and it's like and the establishing shots of the house. I thought the music was pretty good and it added to the atmosphere. I did like the cool little Aesop's fable ant and the grasshopper like reference that they make with Homer and Ned being like, Homer being the happy-go-lucky grasshopper that takes from the ant's hard work. That was cool.
Sorry, is that what that was? Because, Ned thinking of all the times Homer's taken advantage of. It's like, okay, the mower through the house to take pancakes or whatever, that was like starting out way too wacky. Then training a bunny to steal his carrots. And then, it was Homer Cricket and Ned Ant. I'm like, what the fuck are we doing? Okay, so it's based on that.
It's an Aesop's fable. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, like, so Maggie smashing the little sauce packet on her head like a can, I thought was pretty funny.
Yeah, doing a shot of ranch and like,
yeah, exactly. And that's all I've got to say about that. I'm sorry it took so long.
That's all right. Got through all my notes then, but I had a couple more to add. The moment where Lisa is providing the voice for her Malibu Stacy dolls, like, I thought that was just a really good animation touch to have, voice acting touch rather, to have Yardley Smith do all those. That was really good.
We've sort of said before that like characters doing another voice is like a skill, and you can still tell it was Lisa doing like a British voice for some reason, but it was good. I enjoyed it.
Just having Lisa, because Yardley Smith is quite distinct, so having her try to alter her voice in 3 different ways, came across as very kid-like, and really worked. One of the moments where you see the veil lifting from Cousin Pete is where Agnes just goes, "Oh, I'm going to make you a liverwurst melt." It's just,
Is that yum?
And the final scene where all the butterflies start coming out of the cocoons almost broke my stream. It's streaming services suck, man. Anytime there's a snow on streaming services, just can't handle it. There's something about lots of white moving dots that just break streams and make them all pixelated.
Yeah.
Like that many butterflies to animate would probably be a nightmare.
Again, though, I feel like there's so much of a better animation thing you can do. Or maybe they did and I can't tell because it's streaming and, the TVs can't process fucking tiny white dots. Anyway, it's time.
There was kind of a good bit with like, they've all gone. So the news is saying, the lockdown is over because all the caterpillars have gone into cocoons, presumably forever. And I kind of like just leaving it at that. I'm like, this will be a problem later, but we're not going to see it.
I think they have to do that because nobody is saying like, hey guys, don't worry. Like caterpillars generally only live for like 5 days anyway. Like that is never brought up. In fact, everyone's like, this could go on for months. And like, what? Why? How? Like, why would that happen?
It is very Springfieldian to go, and now everything's okay. Like,
I kind of wish they'd left it at that and not just had all the, I mean, they wanted to be more of a metaphor if Lisa said, look, we made it through the bad times and here are these beautiful butterflies. But
they weren't even that pretty.
Yeah, and just have one butterfly.
Sorry to body shame the butterfly.
All right, it's time to rank this thing. BT, why don't you kick it off this time? Oh, wait, you kicked it off last time. No, kick it off this time anyway.
Yeah, it kicks. Look, I'm on a participant again. It's just a lower one. So, look, I kind of want to fail for that Ned thing. It really does bug me a lot. I've considered the pit, but the rest of it's fine. I don't hate it. It's a bit of a waste of potential, but it doesn't bother me too much.
Jordan.
I feel the same. Like I said, I really like some of the sign gags. So like sign writers, they get a gold this episode. But the other rest of the crew, I think I'm going to have to go participant as well. It is sort of close to failure, but it didn't make me as angry as a lot of other things. But it did bother me the whole episode. So it's close to a failure, but I don't know. I don't know if I can kick it.
Yeah, look, I mean, I've certainly seen worse content based around the lockdown eras, and I've certainly seen better. And this exists in that middle ground of the participant. Where, like, oh man, that Flanders thing is tempting me to fail it, but there's a couple of little ideas that save this one and make it somewhat redeemable, but it's also just falling under this category of like, I like the potential other 6 ideas that we've just kicked around from 1 hour of fucking just kicking this one around better than I liked this one, which had more than a year lead in time to make. Like,
I sometimes think about that and I'm like, do they just not, I don't know, are they too invested in their own show that they're just like, man, we've come up with like 10 ideas. I don't know what to pick anymore. I don't know what's good. Because like if non-writers can be like, I think this would be like, and you think, well, maybe that would be a more engaging story. Like, I just don't know how they don't have these conversations as well.
Yeah.
How does it go to air like that? Some of the things I'm just so confused about. Is it a too many cook situation? Like,
I think it's a lot of things. And like, it's weird, especially that this era is churning out better episodes generally than we have for the 20s, the 10 years previous to this. Like, season 34, this is where we get Treehouse of Horror 33, where they do that very well-regarded Death Note parody. We quite liked that one. And what else from this season did we kind of like? It's all shiny bronzes is the best that this one's got, though. Habeas Tortoise, Not It, the It parody. When Nelson met Lisa, they're kind of doing another like Future Jumps episode. My Life as a Vlog, which I liked, but you didn't, where the Simpsons are YouTube vloggers.
Indeed.
Yeah. Anyway, I think it's an overall dull bronze season, and now we have one less episode from it to review.
And one more participant to add to the sludge.
It's getting the participant finger.
Yay.
I'm not even raising a finger. It's just...
You're getting the
You raise an
meh
eyebrow, maybe. That's about it.
Jordan, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hey, look, it's always my pleasure to hang out with two splendid humans such as yourselves.
Oh, thank you. Sorry we keep having hints of the Wasteland. We the other week just struck out and had two good episodes with Diana, and it was like, oh my god, this like feels like we've redeemed the sins of like making you watch crap all the time. And I was like, ooh, I wonder if Chaos brings Jordan a couple of goodies. And
yeah, it was, yeah. I mean, look, one of them was okay, at least, you know, but I don't mind. Like, as long as it makes me feel something, that's the main thing. Whereas this one was, yeah, there was some feelings that were felt. So, you know, all good.
Well, I feel like I love hanging out with you and talking with you and podcasting with you, and I love sharing it with the world. So thank you once again.
I love you both as well.
I love things.
And BT,
wow,
people
cold
love...
beach, cold as ice.
That's how he views us as things. But BT, what if people want to hear more of us out there in the podcasting world?
I mean, obviously, if you want to listen to an episode just called Fuck Binge, you can listen to Thrones of Game, our Game of Thrones podcast, where we listen to the series in reverse order. It is beautiful. But also, you can still go to patreon.com/sidequeststudios for over 200 exclusive podcasts. You know, just go do that. Why not? Are you chicken? I bet you're chicken. You chicken.
Our ad reads are getting hostile now.
Yeah, look, I'm tired of being nice.
Drink Pepsi Max, you
boring.
cucks.
They have... No. Pepsi Max have to pay us, then we order people. Until then, it's just
subscribe
a
to the
casual
Patreon, you fucking soy boy.
I do love soy boys. It's so fucking stupid.
It's really good.
But yeah, look, patreon.com/sidequeststudios, lots of bonus podcasts. It's really cheap as well to access the back catalogue of those.
Cheap as chops.
And you also get voting rights on Starring Springfield. You get to tell us what movies we review for our podcast, where we review the movies that star the cast of The Simpsons, which is also available for free on podcast feeds. All the links down in the descriptions below.
As always.
But for now...
Look, it's simple. Just take all that money you were going to bet on Wellington in the rugby and instead put it to something that exists, like patreon.com/sidequeststudios.
Indeed.
Yeah, but imagine how good you would feel when the Wellington gets up and you win upwards of $3. That's fucking crazy, that feeling. You should.
I'd be happier without the $3.
But that's it for the Simpsons Index for this week. Once again, thank you so much, Jordan.
Thank you. Good to see you again. I'll be back for more shit.
That's his catchphrase. And BT, thank you very much.
I'm not beating that outro shit.
I'll give it a try. I'm Elliot J. O'Neill. That's all the mustard in the house.
Thank you for listening to the Simpsons Index podcast, which is also an online spreadsheet available at thesimpsonsindex.com. We're also on social media. You can follow us on Blue Sky, Instagram, and on Threads. Links for all that and more are down in the show notes. Lastly, please consider giving us a 5-star review on the podcasting app of your choice. If you had a podcast, we'd give you a 5-star review. And now please stay tuned for the bonus scenes!
Coming to you from SideQuest Studios, this is The Simpsons. I had my aircon on.
Oh, aircon. I thought you said egg on. I'm like, what?
In this economy?
Yeah, how dare.
It's all the kids are like, yo, I'm going to get my egg on. Means you're going to be like splurging. Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be a new Urban Dictionary
Yeah,
phrase.
Totally. 100%.
All right, take
yeah. Eggings at school muck-up day is only reserved for kings and Tara and shit.
I know that's the thing. Did you see the tweet that was like a Cybertruck driver that was like, I just drove down the road and they did this to me, and it's like, he got egged. It's like, dude, they spent good money to hate on you. That is impressive. Like,
Probably as kids. All right. Little sip of my Splatoon.
Well, what you got in there?
Oh, this isn't my Splatoon mug. It's the Spit. It's coffee. Oh,
Very
holy
good.
shit! He's busting out the Monster.
Oh yeah, I'm representing the my queer heritage by drinking a white Monster.
Didn't know that was a thing. Okay.
Yeah, don't look it up. Just trust me.
I do, and I never do look these things up. I trust you, but I do not Google.
Yeah,
There's a
that's all
series,
good.
Jordan's Guide of Things to Not to Look Up.
Well, no, you can look it up, but just like be warned, it's fine. Anyway,
Anthony Michael Hall, I think he's doing fine now. Anyway.
Ever since that tragic car accident where he was in that haunted hospital, he's been fine. It was him, right?
I'm so lost.
Wasn't that there was that show about that Stephen King thing that he was he
Kingdom
starred
Hospital?
in? Yeah, was that him?
I kind of love Kingdom Hospital for being really perfectly trash.
Kingdom Hospital, and it was by Stephen King.
Well, it was Stephen King's Kingdom. I don't know how involved he actually was, but
was it the Dead Zone? Yeah, the Dead Zone. That's the one I'm thinking of. But yeah,
series,
it's based on the Stephen King. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No.
Anyway, sorry.
Like, quick qualifier. Dead Zone is both a movie, a show, and the book is actually quite good. I do recommend it.
Yeah.
But Kingdom Hospital is, I've only ever seen a couple, but it was this thing where it would be like, previously on, and would go through that, and they'd be like, and tonight on, and then show you things that were going to happen because they were padding that hard.
Right, okay.
I was like, oh, this
Next
is my kind of
week on,
garbage.
but wait, we haven't done this week.
Exactly. It's like, yes, trash.
Yeah. Anyway.
But yeah,
doing everything we can not to talk about this episode.
Yeah, no.
Sorry.
Like lockdowns, we're trying to avoid thinking about it too hard. Yeah.